The City Council is the sole legislative body of the City of Framingham and is therefore responsible for passing city ordinances. The City Council is made up of 11 members who exercise the legislative powers of Framingham. 2 of these members are known as councilors at large and 9 members are known as district councilors. The City Council serves as a link between the citizens of Framingham and their municipal government. Councilors help constituents by connecting them to resources, services, and city departments, and also serve as advocates for all Framingham residents. The following City Council coverage is brought to you by the Government Channel, a service of the City of Framingham.
City Council meeting for June 2nd, 2026. We'll be using version 3 of our agenda, which is posted in the public meeting portal and published to iLegislate earlier today. All councilors are in attendance, I believe. No, our Councilor Bryan is not, so I don't know if she's joining us or not. At the beginning of this meeting, before we do anything else, I would like to ask for a moment of silence. Former town moderator, town council, chair of the Board of Selectmen, chair of the zoning board, and Keefe Tech School Committee member, John Kahn, died a couple of days ago. John was a member of the Board of Selectmen when I was town manager. He's truly one of the, in my lifetime at least, the icons of people serving Framingham. He served for many, many, many years. So I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. So we have minutes for 5/5/26.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. All right. Next, we have a joint proclamation of the mayor, superintendent of schools, city council, and school committee regarding June as Pride Month in the city of Framingham. This is brought forth annually. The mayor, I know, read the proclamation on Sunday at the event. Mayor, do you want to read it again here, or do you want to present it, or how do you want to handle it?
If you would like me to read it, I'd be happy to read it.
Whatever you'd like to do.
Okay. My cookie down. Proclamation.
Did you bring other cookies for us?
City of Framingham Proclamation, June 2nd, 2026, Pride Month. Whereas the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual plus communities significantly contribute to the rich culture and atmosphere of the city of Framingham, and whereas Framingham champions diversity in all its forms encompassing gender, race, age, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious beliefs, and ability. And whereas the month of June is recognized as National Pride Month, commemorating the history and achievements of the LGBTQIA+ community and marking the anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising that took place in June 1969, which is acknowledged as the beginning of the LGBTQIA+ rights movement. And whereas Framingham takes pride in being home to several remarkable LGBTQIA+ support organizations, including Out Metro West, which has spent over a decade providing positive role models, challenging systemic oppression, and creating supportive environments that respect, embrace, and celebrate LGBTQ+ youth, as well as Framingham Glass, which fosters a supportive community for LGBTQ+ youth of color and their allies through community spaces, groups, and services. And whereas Framingham reaffirms its dedication to protecting and serving everyone who lives, works, or visits the city without discrimination, alongside its commitment to the dignity, equality, and constitutional and civil rights of all individuals. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we, Mayor Charlie Sisitsky, Framingham Superintendent of Schools Robert Tremblay, the Framingham City Council, and the Framingham School Committee hereby declare June 2026 as Pride Month in the city of Framingham. We invite the members of the Framingham community to respect, honor, and acknowledge the enduring efforts and ongoing contributions of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual plus individuals within our community. We encourage all residents to recognize and participate meaningfully in the observance of the Pride Month of Framingham. And it's signed by members of the City Council, to be signed by the mayor, Dr. Tremblay, and members of the school committee.
Thank you very much. I'd like to recognize Mel Pace, who's the Director of
Out Metro West.
I know what it is, I just couldn't get it out of my mouth, but anyways, yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Mel Pache, they them pronouns, Executive Director of Out Metro West. And I just wanted to extend some gratitude to the city of Framingham for this proclamation. At Out Metro West, we foster communities where LGBTQ youth thrive. And we know that this is a time of increased discrimination and harmful legislation against trans and queer people across the nation. And so we appreciate this public show of support for our LGBTQ youth and the wider LGBTQ community. So thank you.
Would you like to have a picture with us, with getting the presentation? We have a second proclamation, but I think we're going to hold it off. Councilor Vianney is going to present it in person to the organization, then we'll have them in at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Next item is public participation. So I do have a public participation sign-up sheet. Thank you, everybody, for signing up. But by our rules, since the item is on the agenda, it will come out, you'll be during the agenda item, not right now, which it's one of the first items, so that's when it's going to be. It's our public hearing. I'll see if there's anybody on Zoom. I see two hands on Zoom. If you're on Zoom and you want to talk about the budget, can you just put your hand down until that comes up in a couple minutes at the public hearing? And both hands are down, so that's good. Okay, so everybody wants to talk about the budget. So we have no appointments, we have no further public participation, so this would open our public hearing on the budget. So
A motion to open up the public hearing. Cut. Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
moved and seconded. I'll open up the public hearing. All those in favor? Okay, the public hearing is open. So there are, I'm sure most people don't have immediate access, or the new budget documents are online as of today. And the Finance Subcommittee is continuing to review it. We met tonight. We will meet again on Thursday night this week, Tuesday and Thursday night next week. Tonight, we will be asking for a first reading vote on the budget simply because of the fact we have to have two readings, but the final vote will come most likely, not guaranteed, 2 weeks from tonight on June 16th. With that, we can open up, unless anyone has anything else to say about the budget, we'll open up our annual public hearing on the budget. And because everyone signed up for public participation, I'll start with this list. And then if anybody else in the audience did not sign up at the end, I'll recognize hands. But I'll start with the list since everyone was kind enough to sign up. So the first person would be Dr. I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble with reading some. Dr. Volante? If I got that wrong, I apologize.
No, it's Valente.
Volante, not bad, though, not bad. Closer than I thought.
Sort of close. Okay. Hello. There's a lot of good Italians on here. I thought you would pronounce it better.
I
Anyway,
know.
so hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Alicia Valente. I'm an ER physician with expertise in
Excuse me
health.
for 1 second, I'm sorry. Just for the record, everybody will be limited to 3 minutes, okay?
All right.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're okay.
Thank you.
So, hi, everybody. I am an emergency medicine physician with expertise in health equity policy and public health. I'm a mom of soon-to-be 2 children in the public school systems and the physician representative of the Board of Health. I'm here today to talk against the budget cuts for our Board of Health and our public health and demand longer deliberation, more transparency, and public input to the budget cuts at large. Since I've been on the Public Health Board for the past 2 years, I've seen a decrease of funding destroy the public health infrastructure of the city. And this is evident by the fact that I have to talk in public health comment and we don't have a seat at the table. Because of our cuts, we now have 1 nurse for 72,000 residents with per diem support. That 1 nurse had 3 times the safe load of tuberculosis cases and prevented community spread. She also controlled a measles exposure in February, where we had 40 people in quarantine for over 30 days and vaccinated over 2,000 children to keep them safe in our school systems. You probably didn't notice because good public health is silent, but it's not magic. This is property taxes and financial investment at work. And thank you, counselors, for funding our per diem nurses. I heard that from Bill Murphy at about 4:30 this afternoon, but that's cobbling along our already weakened public health infrastructure. This lack of investment has turned into innovation. We have one manager that's brought in over $2 million in grants, 100 times her salary. And we also have a med van given to us generously by Jack Lewis to care for the 4,000 people who are uninsured in our constituency. The budget cuts that are proposed, although we have our nurse, we have no ability to grow and plan for the future. With decreasing our grant position, we kill our safety net. Without funding the van, we're unable to care for the growing number of uninsured people that will come on January 1st of 2027 when we have a massive change in our mass health people who are eligible. This will include wage workers and small business owners that will, if they become sick and hospitalized from preventable illness, will not be able to open their businesses, will not be able to pay their wage workers, and will not be able to generate the income to invest financially back into our community. You're going to kill our economic engine, and it's a fact. Good financial growth is based on good public health. The unprecedented and arbitrary cuts forced upon us by City Council also cut the single most largest and impactful setting for public health, which is our public schools. It's a site for not only really great public health engagement like hearing and vision screening, but also a safe environment to address physical, mental, and social needs that will become more critical after our children and our families cannot get this in traditional medical settings as of January 1st. Good, stable schools lead to better educational and economic outcomes, and that's good public health. So, but the good thing is you guys have a choice, and this doesn't need to happen. We can join our forward-thinking 14 largest cities and have a Department of Health and Human Services. We can consolidate meaningfully, have the public
You have
health
15
initiatives
seconds, okay.
that are scattered across the city into one service. We can have the Callahan Center under us and have increased public school partnership. But you got to believe in your experts. I believe and our CFO, who tells us that $14 million in free cash and a 4.5% levy is financially stable for our constituency, instead of this arbitrary and misinformed cut that will have personnel cuts and consolidation that
Thank you.
will erode
Your
our
time is
public
up.
health infrastructure and erode
Okay.
our ability to grow economically. So be smart, listen to experts, and do the damn right thing.
I appreciate your passion, but you have to go with the time.
Mr. King,
Listen to public health.
I don't think the current CFO said 4.5% and 14 million was a good idea.
I concur, but people are allowed to make comments. We're not going to fact-check comments, whether they're right or wrong. I understand everybody's passion for the issues here. It's obviously a difficult time for everybody, including the city council. I would ask if we could hold the applause at the end, just to make it more. So next is Katie Tangelson.
This is Ariana. We're going to switch places just so she can go home and go to bed.
That's fine.
She's near the bottom.
Understood.
Hi, I'm Mariana, and I'm on the Children's Council for Framingham at my school.
Welcome.
So, yeah, I'm on a different council. I wanted to talk about five people at my school who are always, like, really nice to me and help us, and that we don't want them to leave. So first is Mr. Foster, our vice principal at Brophy. He always is like hanging out with. He's always making us have so much fun. Like at the talent show, when there was kids scared, he went up on stage and danced with them. And one day when I was in the nurse's office sick, he spent the time with me so I wasn't alone and sad. Then I wanted to talk about Sage because I've been in Sage since second grade, and it's my favorite subject because we get to do in fourth and fifth grade. You get to do a project. Miss Nancy, our Sage teacher, teaches us how to do a project so we can learn it. She says we'll need it for middle school, and we get to do it on what we want to learn about. So I really like that. And I always had a challenge, and we did escape rooms, and there's always challenges because sometimes the normal classroom can be boring. It's true. Then I wanted to say Miss Wells. She's one of the teachers at our school. She does fourth and fifth grade. She's always really kind to everybody, and she always goes out of her way to be nice to everybody. And during MCAS, she was very nice, and she got us have breaks, and she motivated us so much, our group. Then I want to say all the social workers at our school, because they are very busy, and they always make time for you if you need to see one of them. Miss Pare, Miss Vera, Mr. Blank, and Miss Bonilla. And then also my second grade English teacher, Miss Dosty, because she really engaged the class, and I still remember everything because she engaged us, and I really understood everything, and she made learning science and social studies really fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is Drayden Maskell.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Drayden, and I'm an 8th grader in the Framingham Public Schools. Yesterday afternoon, the 3 Framingham middle schools received 17 MATG nominations, including 9 nominations for Walsh's production of Newsies, and a nomination for Best Overall Performance. Next Monday, students will go to Lawrence High School to represent our schools and our community. That's really exciting for us students. And I think it shows what can happen when schools give students opportunities to do more than just sit in a classroom all day. Theater helped me become more confident. It helped me make friends, work with other people, and learn how to step outside my comfort zone. And for other students, that theme might be music, arts, sports, or clubs, or another program that makes them feel connected to school. A lot of students find where they belong because of these programs. Sometimes people think these things are just extras, but they're actually really important to a lot of us. They give students something to look forward to and to help them grow into a better version of themselves. I hope you remember that when you support the schools, you're supporting students, and when you help them discover what they're capable of. Thank you.
Thank you. Tiffany Maskell.
Good evening, counselors. My name is Tiffany Maskell from District 7, and I'm here tonight as a parent and advocate for Framingham students. You just heard from my son talk about the incredible accomplishments of students across our middle schools this week. Those moments didn't happen by accident. They happened because students were given opportunities, because educators invested their time, energy, and belief into kids, because our schools created spaces where students could discover confidence, creativity, leadership, and purpose. And tonight, we're discussing cutting 31 additional student-facing educator positions across our district. Positions that directly impact students every single day. That should concern every one of us. For many students, the programs often called extras are actually the reason they feel connected to school at all. For others, it's the ESL teacher helping them succeed, the interventionist supporting them academically, or the educator who notices when they're struggling. These are not empty positions on a spreadsheet. They are real people supporting real students every day. Last week, many of you spoke proudly about the excellent education your own children received in Framingham Public Schools. So I ask each one of you, if those opportunities mattered for your children, every one of you, why shouldn't it matter for ours, all these people in the room, our children? I know budgets are difficult, but I hope tonight's conversation stays centered on students sitting in the classrooms and educators supporting them every single day. Please, please protect our students, our educators, and the opportunity that help our children thrive. Thank you.
Katie Bonner.
Good evening. I'm Katie Bonner, District 1 resident and proud parent of 2 Hemingway students and 1 Block student. As an active PTO member, I'm in the school building regularly and see the stress and exhaustion and unexpected behaviors that our educators and staff deal with on a routine, actually daily basis. I'm heartbroken to think that we as a community have added to their stress and mental load by making them wait until June 2nd to know if they have a job, if their students will have support next year, and all the other unknowns that accompany a budget crisis. Like many families in our city, I understand that difficult financial decisions sometimes require sacrifice. In my own household, I regularly adjust spending and make choices about what we can and cannot afford. I'm also willing to accept sacrifices in our community, whether that means reducing amenities, postponing projects, or even foregoing traditions like city fireworks, when those choices are important to protect essential services and investments in our people, importantly, our children and teachers. No one in this room would say, quote, "Oh, we think educators and students don't matter," end quote, but our actions are not aligning with our words. Council members, I urge you to feel empowered to make the financial decisions necessary to close this budget gap and save these 31 critical positions. Let's give the school system a budget that doesn't just barely squeak by, but a budget that enables each educator and student to have the environment and opportunity to flourish. Let's give Framingham's education system the priority it deserves as education paves the way to the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Zena Case, is it?
Good evening. My name is Zena Qais, and I'm a District 1 resident and a Framingham parent to 2 Hemingway Elementary School students. I'm here tonight because I believe our schools have already sacrificed enough. The school committee budget already absorbed approximately $4.8 million in reductions and the loss of 81 staff positions. Now we are facing an additional $1.3 million reduction under the current Finance Subcommittee proposal. If approved, this would result in impacts to 31 more educator positions. These are not abstract numbers. These cuts will affect programs and services that students rely on every day: drama, chorus, health education, ESL services, special education, SAGE programming. So anyone who spends time in our schools can see the need. Our teachers are managing increasing behavioral challenges while working to meet the needs of students with diverse learning profiles. Our English learners need support. Our neurodivergent students need support. Students facing social emotional challenges need support. Our gifted and advanced learners deserve opportunities to be challenged and grow. Inclusion is not just a value we talk about. It requires people, resources, and investment. We need enough adults in our buildings so teachers can focus on teaching while students receive the support they need to succeed. What is most striking to me is how small the difference is. Saving these 31 positions would require approximately $1.4 million in additional revenue. which is just over $4 per month for the average taxpayer. So this entire discussion is now hinging on whether we are willing to invest an extra $4 a month to preserve critical educational services for our children. I understand that raising taxes is difficult, especially for families already facing financial pressures. But if the community is not willing to go above the proposed 3.5% increase, then I urge the council to consider using a slightly larger portion of the city's reserves. We have heard that the city may be on track to end the year with a surplus, and this is exactly the kind of situation reserves are meant for, to help the community navigate difficult financial periods without causing lasting damage to essential services. Whether the solution is a modest increase in revenue, additional use of reserves, or a combination of both, I ask you to find a way to close this 1.3 million gap without sacrificing another 31 educational positions. Budgets are statements of values. Tonight, I ask you to show that Framingham values its students, its educators, and its future. Enough is enough. Our schools have already absorbed millions in cuts and the loss of 81 positions. Please do not ask them to absorb any more. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Polozonic.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Sarah Polachonic. I'm here with my daughter, Lila Polachonic. I'm a resident of District 1 and active PTO co-president at Hemingway Elementary School, a Girl Scout leader, and a mother of 3 girls, both at Hemingway and Walsh. I'm also a municipal employee in Wayland and a municipal consultant in many communities. I work on budgets and rate studies that focus on long-range planning, and I fear there has been a lack of that when it comes to the city budget process. As someone who chooses to volunteer their time to work with children and educators, I can tell you that it is a privilege to be involved in our community in these ways. I get to see firsthand how hard our educators work, often in circumstances far more stressful than we realize. They take work home with them at night, they respond to emails over the weekend, they lesson plan on their own time, they purchase supplies out of their own pockets. Often they spend more quality time with our children than we do. They imprint on them. They do all this because they care deeply about their profession and about our children. It's time that we show them that we care about them too. Imagine going to work every day with the responsibility of being everything to these kids who have all different needs, behavioral, learning, social, emotional, and then being told that you might not have a job next year. In fact, you might have a very short window in which to find employment for the next year. We just don't have the money anymore. We didn't plan for this. We let you down. But you still have to show up every day with a smile on your face and the confidence that the city will come through for you. I've listened and been present at many of these meetings, and sometimes I cannot believe my ears. Other times, I hear these great ideas. Some, after doing some research, don't filter through as being viable, but some do. Based on what we know right now, it makes complete sense, after not raising taxes enough last year and below the 2.5% in previous years, to even have this levy capacity, that we raise the taxes by at least 3.5%, if not 4%, and the $10 million from the free cash to buffer what would be an even larger tax increase. We do have that money. That extra 0.5% is 12 cents a day per person to save approximately 31 teaching positions. It's either that or we take an additional $1.2 million out of free cash for a total of $11.2 million. No one likes to hear that their taxes are going up, but we have to live in the reality that this is long overdue. Our commercial and industrial tax base is not robust enough, and the money has to come from somewhere. Every one of us enjoys the multiple services that our taxes provide, even if they are not all the same services. Some of us don't have kids. Some of us do. Some of us have kids that have long graduated. Some of us are senior citizens or just starting our adult lives. Some are veterans. All of us enjoy having our trash picked up and magically taken away, our potholes magically filled, and we sleep at night because we know we have safety with our police and fire departments. We are a community. We should care about what each of us needs, not what we want, but what we need. We function best when the whole community is thriving. We will be okay without fireworks. They do not define us, I promise you.
You
We need to
15
fund
seconds, okay.
We need to fund our schools. Sorry. Those of us with kids are able to go to work and provide for our families and neighbors, and we send our kids off to thrive and become themselves in wonderful schools with extracurricular programs, and those programs matter, believe me. If you've ever seen how a child grows in those programs, you would know. All of us should equally care about the future of the students in our city.
Okay, I'm
and
sorry.
appeal.
Your time is up. I appreciate it, but we have to stay to our
Please
rules.
do what is right for our city tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Adam Freudberg.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and councilors. Adam Freudberg, school committee member from District 4, speaking my own opinions, not on behalf of any organization or committee. First of all, thank you so much for your review and the public service that you all have in our community. After watching all of your meetings, and I caught up to every single one over the weekend, I do see a renewed focus this cycle in partnership with an impressive new CFO with many great ideas to help the long-term finances here for next year and beyond. Tonight, I want to talk about math specifics on this year's budget. Math fact number 1, 3.5% and 10 million. Those two round numbers were selected before all the specific data and impacts were made available to you through your public packets and many emails. Years ago in this room, many of us expressed similar concerns when the budget decisions by a former executive administration were driven by a round number rather than a demonstrated need. The council stepped up then, said yes for education, said yes and restored $611,882 to the school department budget, and our students are still better for it today. Math fact number 2, 6, the number of collective bargaining agreements negotiated, approved, and currently being implemented. Those 6 agreements alone represented $9,313,780 in known commitments headed into this fiscal year, the next fiscal year. Math fact number 3, 757, the number of student enrollment loss, enrollment matters, funding follows students. Responsible government must acknowledge that reality, and that's why the school committee already cut $7,722,325.92 in operating and personnel costs before the mayor's first budget submission. Enrollment's only part of the story. Math fact number 4, 81, the number of positions already eliminated, not proposed, already cut, with a focus on people, ensuring that as many people as possible were laid off and that new positions, vacancies, retirements, even though it's not the best process, was done to get to that. That distinction all matters. Math fact number 5, 1, the number of federal governments our nation has. I mean, it's so obvious, but we are being impacted by what the federal government is doing. We cannot control those decisions, but you can control how our municipal government responds locally. And finally, my math fact number 6, a proposed specific solution, $43.28 more per year, $3.61 more per month, about 12 cents per day. That's approximately the new impact for the residential taxpayer to restore $1,239,420, returning to the mayor's first school committee budget submission before the council revisions happened. This, to me, is a potential solution for you to consider. With that amount, many reductions could be avoided. I believe it's supported by the math facts and informed by the tremendous public feedback that you have been hearing. Just like when the council said yes for education a few years ago, I'm asking for you to do it again. Who will be the first to offer that budget amendment here tonight or in 2 weeks? Thank you for considering it.
Thank you. Francesca Feliciano.
Thank you very much for all that you do. I agree with a lot of the things that you've heard tonight. As a parent and as a constituent, I'm okay with you raising the taxes. This is something that is worth it. I don't know if any of you guys watched that show, Shark Tank. Yeah. So I feel like I live in my own little mini Shark Tank. I'll be sitting at the kitchen table with my son, and every now and then he comes up with these crazy genius ideas, and I'm drinking my coffee and I'm thinking, why didn't I think of that? That's the kind of creative thinking that our schools is unlocking. And right now I feel like a lot of that is being threatened with all these budget cuts. SAGE is a really, really important program for my son. For a long time, I didn't even know what it was or what it meant, but it was the only thing he ever talks about is SAGE this and SAGE that and Miss Nancy this and Miss Nancy that. So when you cut some of these programs and you get rid of it and don't spend the money in the public schools, you're not just saying no to a program, you're really squashing their innovation. And programs like this is a hub for innovative thinking, and it's really, really important. So I hope that we can cut some of the waste and that we can not cut the people who are making our programs and our schools run efficiently. It's really, really important. So please, please, please do everything you can to help find the money to fund our schools and to keep the existing positions that are in place today. Thank you very much again for all that you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Christopher Laurent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, councilors and everyone. I'll be real brief. Christopher Laurent, 1575 Concord Street. Just two quick things regarding the hashtag FY27 budget. First of all, I didn't catch his name, but I wanted to thank the police officer here in Framingham who stopped a driver for failing to stop at a red light in front of my building while the walk light was activated by me back on Friday, May 29th at 5:20 p.m. Just want to reiterate for 2 more seconds that I hope there's room in the budget to fix that situation, extra signage in both directions on Concord Street, and some type of awareness, flashing, et cetera, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dan Doobie.
Dan Dubé, District 1. We've heard from our counselors and our CFO that using free cash to balance the budget is risky, and some have said dangerous. And we've heard things like 1 cut not taken this year is 2 cuts next year. Why couldn't we do an additional 1% tax levy and reduce the free cash going forward? Once the budget reconciliation is complete and we settle on a number, let's say it's 3.5 and 10 or 3.8 and 10, why couldn't we just add 1% to the tax levy and reduce the free cash so that sets us up better for next year? Because if we don't do it, in your words, if we don't do it this year, we're going to do it next year, and next year would be more painful. That's really my only point. The second point I'll make is Ashland just passed their override bill, and they compared themselves to 20 surrounding communities on the average tax bill. And their pitch was that they were below the average tax bill against their peers. Where did Framingham sit? We're one of the lowest average taxed cities of the 20 surrounding communities. Only Milford and Marlborough were lower. So a 1% extra levy tax is $80. And my only point is, let's take a crack at solving the free cash this year so that next year isn't as painful. And if you're interested, I did print out copies of that one slide that compared all the communities. If you want to have it, I can hand it out to you if you're interested. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you very much. So is Katie Tingleson still, do you want to speak yourself? Is that, okay, I wasn't quite sure what the arrows meant. Sorry about that.
Thank you for being flexible on that.
No problem.
Good evening, Katie Tingleson, District 6, and mom of 3 boys in the Framingham schools. My husband and I moved to Framingham 12 years ago, and because we didn't grow up here, we often are the people that newcomers reach out to when they're considering the area. And over the years, we've spoken with dozens of families making the decision, and the feedback has been consistent. Framingham doesn't make the short list because surrounding towns are seen as having better schools. That's just not a perception problem, it's an economic one. Every family that chooses a neighboring town is a family not buying a home here, not paying taxes here, not building roots here. One of the first things people look at when making a decision to move is the school system. I know you have heard from many parents reaching out in support of Adam's proposal and tonight to give the schools more funds with an increase in taxes or the free money allocation. The current budget proposal from Dr. Tremblay includes cutting programs like SAGE. Gift-in programs are often a deciding factor for ambitious and educated families who get involved, volunteer, and invest in a community long-term. Losing these programs doesn't save money in any meaningful sense if we are looking to the future of our city. Investing in schools is long-term planning, and I'm not just here to identify a problem, I have a proposal. Our own tax bills already invite residents to donate to support neighbors in need. That same spirit can be extended into Transparent Community Fund, where residents direct donations to specific programs: SAGE, arts, athletics, schools, whatever matters to them. Civic crowdfunding platforms exist and are already working in communities like ours. In talking with school-age parents, many of them love this idea and mentioned they would be more than willing to donate to a fund that directly impacts what they care about most. It won't solve everything, but it gives residents a way to invest directly in what makes Framingham worth choosing. And it gives this council a tool beyond the budget alone. So my ask is simple: increase funding to protect programs like SAGE and explore community fund, because the generosity to support this city already exists. We just need a place to direct it. Thank you.
Thank you. We can go to Zoom. Joel Winnett.
Hello, thank you. I'm here talking about the change in the organization structure regarding the library and the senior center. I'd like to know, and I would like the library board to know as well, what communities have combined libraries services and senior center services. What was their experience? How will this change affect what the MSLB, the State Library Board, and their support for Framingham? Will this change in the responsibilities of the director affect our support from MSLB? The other issue having to do with the savings. What is the actual dollar amount of the savings this year and next year for this combining of departments? What are the alternatives for changing the budget instead of combining this? What are the alternatives for raising the same funds? It was suggested that you might have to raise taxes, or maybe did the mayor consider other combining ways to save money within the current budget? So I think if I guess it comes up to the mayor, but it's up to the city council to request that this information be provided so that the effect of these changes can be identified. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Catherine Smith. 3 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Smith, and I am speaking tonight on behalf of the Framingham Special Education Parent Advisory Council, known as CPAC. We remain deeply concerned about the proposed FY27 budget and the significant reductions to Framingham Public Schools. The additional proposed cuts and the loss of so many positions will have real consequences for students, families, and educators across our district. For students with disabilities, these cuts are especially troubling. Fewer staff mean fewer opportunities for individualized support, less capacity to address learning and behavioral challenges early, and greater strain on the educators who serve our most vulnerable learners. While students with disabilities may feel these impacts most acutely, the effects will be felt by every student in our schools. These cuts are not a long-term savings strategy. When we reduce supports today, small challenges often become larger and more costly problems tomorrow. Students who do not receive timely interventions are more likely to require intensive services in the future. Delaying investment in education does not eliminate costs, it increases them. At a time when Framingham should be investing in the systems that strengthen our community, We are being asked to accept cuts that weaken educational opportunities and create greater challenges down the road. We urge the City Council to prioritize investments that protect educational quality, support vulnerable students, and position Framingham for long-term success. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jessica Villatoro.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Jessie Villatoro, District 4. The City Council must make our schools its highest priority and fully commit to funding them. While the 3.5 and 10 million in free cash is only really kind of helpful, the city must still close this budget gap. The 3.5 and 10 million is not a long-term solution and does not adequately address the structural funding challenges our schools face. The percent for tax levy should be higher. The school department needs more money now. I also acknowledge that the school department needs to do their part, and I do feel that they need to look more closely at central office positions to help this cause and prioritize student-facing positions. The school department also needs to find a way to collaborate with the city and look at any redundancies that may be found between roles within the city and school department. The reality is our schools need an additional investment, and the city must take decisive action to close the remaining funding gap, not just for this budget cycle, but for the years ahead. Whether that means allocating a larger share of the city budget to our schools, pursuing new revenue sources, or asking Framingham's residents to support additional funding through taxes, the city cannot continue to rely on one-time fixes. If a sustainable plan is not put in place now, Framingham will find itself facing the same crisis year after year, forcing students, families, and teachers to bear the consequences of budget shortfalls. This is unacceptable. Our schools are the foundation of this community. Strong schools attract families, strengthen neighborhoods, and prepare the next generation for success. Our students and teachers deserve the resources necessary to provide high-quality education, period. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Rachel. Could you just identify yourself since your name only says Rachel?
Yes, thank you. This is Rachel Mikowski. I live in District 3, and I'm a board member of the PTO at Brophy. Before more frontline services affecting our schools are reduced, or before significant tax increases are considered, I'm curious whether every reasonable cost-saving option has been explored. I've repeatedly asked whether Framingham has conducted a recent cost-benefit analysis on privatizing residential trash collection and have not received an answer. Comparable Massachusetts communities such as Waltham, Lynn, Lawrence, and New Bedford use contracted trash collection, and Medford has reportedly projected more than $1 million in annual savings through privatization. I'd also like to know if a decision has been made requiring condominium associations to contract for their own trash collection rather than having the cost subsidized by all Framingham taxpayers. During this deficit, Framingham residents should not be paying additional taxes while also subsidizing trash collection for private condominium developments. In addition, have opportunities really been evaluated to consolidate certain HR administrative duties from the school side to the city? I recognize that this budget is challenging for all departments. The police department's request for 14 additional positions is not being funded. The fire department's request for 4 additional firefighters is not being funded. But given these realities and what the schools are facing, it's even more important that every operational efficiency and cost-saving opportunity be thoroughly evaluated. Finally, if tax increases are being discussed, what portion of those increases would be borne by commercial properties versus just residential taxpayers? Residents deserve confidence that options such as operational efficiencies and administrative consolidation have been fully evaluated before additional reductions to essential school frontline services and staff are made. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Heather Cleach.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
My name is Heather Klisch. I'm in District 2. My comments are my own and not on behalf of the Board of Library Trustees. My comment tonight is about the proposal to place both the library and the Callahan Center under the leadership of the library director. I still have serious concerns about the potential impact of this proposal. Since the proposal became public, I have heard many people, including city councilors, say that the library director, Dawn De La Santa, can do the job, that she's a Marine, that if anybody can make this work, she can. And I actually don't disagree. My question, however, is not whether Dawn can do it. It's whether the city should be asking one person to do what have historically been two separate director level, although the Callahan is a little bit different, but essentially director level positions. This discussion shouldn't be about whether one individual is capable enough to take on more. It should be about whether this structure is sustainable, whether it serves the best interests of both the library and the Callahan Center, and whether it allows each to receive the attention and leadership that it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bloomfield, go ahead. Mr. Bloomfield?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. You got 3 minutes.
Thank you. I just want to kudos to the folks that have spoken so far tonight. You provide a database and a person-to-person connection with your city councilors gathered here now, and they will be responsible for making decisions, and they, I'm sure, are listening to your comments and trying to deal with them as best they can, even though we are dealing with a very, very difficult situation. These things need to be spoken about and dealt with in the best way possible. And therefore, I'm just going to be a few moments because I've already spoken a couple of times this past week and even earlier today. The free cash is simply prior years previously approved but unspent returning funds to the city reserve. From that point, the funds are either recalibrated, reallocated to the new FY year, or needs to be returned back to the reserve account for further consideration. So therefore, if necessary, to ensure that Framingham is affordable, because that's a big problem. Framingham is not affordable. We make references to, well, we can just add a little bit to the taxes, a little bit here, a little bit there. What you don't understand, or what you're not taking into context, is the fact that people have a lot of expenses they're dealing with. It's not just their taxes. It's the whole array of things that they're having to take care of. And the fact that, you know, companies are leaving the state. People are leaving the state. People are going to have to leave the state. And we still have this revenue situation over our heads that are going to impact everybody in every way, in every household, sooner or later. And we can only hope that there is a remedy that comes across earlier so that we don't have to suffer this way or be in agony all these months going forward about what's going to happen in the future. But we should start in a way that is being intended that all the best we can for city functions are being performed at the lowest cost possible going forward, that it's prudent to utilize the free cash to bring down the property tax to back where it should be, the 2.5, and let the people deal with the expenses that are beyond the city's management to deal with, like utilities and so on and so forth, that is going to be in their considerations day after day. Apply the tax shift to the commercial
15 seconds, Mr. Bloomfield.
Yeah, and to the divided percentage by what was already been voted by the city council. There is a shift that goes on between the industrial side and homeowner side, and consider that too, because we don't want to lose companies. I was surprised that we're...
Okay, Mr. Bloomfield, your time is up, okay?
Yeah, I just want to say, it shouldn't be that Advocate is moving to Marlboro, and I'm
Okay,
just
Mr.
hearing
Bloomfield,
about
your
it.
time is up.
So on and so forth. Thank you.
Okay, I have no one else on Zoom, and I don't see anyone else in the room. So with that, I will close this part of the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? I do not see her. Okay. So with that, our consideration of the budget tonight, the budget is still obviously being discussed in Finance Subcommittee. As everyone knows, there is a, let me show it wasn't me causing trouble with my timer up here. So Finance Subcommittee will be meeting again Thursday night this week, and then probably Tuesday and Thursday night next week. I would hope that at our final vote on the budget could be June 16th. The recommendations, we don't have any new recommendations yet. I would ask that we consider passing this tonight as the first reading with the understanding any changes will be made at the second reading. The reason for that is just formality. Otherwise, we're going to be putting off even further when we're able to finish the budget. So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
so moved.
Okay. So just to finish that thought, so,
Brian's on, just so you know.
okay, very good. Thank you.
And I voted in favor of the prior, to close the hearing.
Oh. Well, you weren't on at that time, and since I took
I know, I heard you saying I
know,
don't
but
see it.
but I took a hand vote, so I can't count your vote. Just-
Okay, never mind.
No problem. No, I understand. Appreciate it. Okay. Okay, so is there any discussion regarding that formality? So Ward?
I mean, I'm not sure I feel comfortable with it, given that I don't agree with the vote of approving this budget as it's currently constituted. There's a lot of questions that haven't been finalized. I'm very interested to see the school committee meeting on Wednesday. I assume additional cuts will need to be made, but whether it's an additional 31 positions is not a definitive in my mind. I don't feel like we have a clear understanding of what a reorg looks like for the library and the Callahan Center or parks and facilities. I'm not necessarily opposed to the proposed reorgs, but I think there remains unanswered questions, specifically in the case of the Callahan Center. And I'm also continue to have reservations about the amount of free cash being proposed, and think there needs to be conversations around increasing our tax levy usage. So those are my reservations to voting yes tonight.
Right, so all those questions are going to be brought up and discussed. And we can do it anyway. As I say, the charter requires a two-vote process. As you're aware, we vote many things, rightfully or wrongfully, at their first vote, and then change them dramatically on their second vote, and we've done that over a period of time. If you don't want to do that, not just you personally, but the city council overall, that's fine, but with the impact, and it's fine, is going to be a delay in the adoption of the final budget. So that's the reason for the request.
But normally we voted yes on the first reading to get to the second reading when there's a finished product in front of us. It's not still changing in other places before it gets to us.
Well, I disagree. We voted a lot of things in the first reading and made substantial changes in the second reading.
Here at the city council.
Yeah.
But there's not different proposals or recommendations, I think, from the school committee or from the finance subcommittee.
Well, I mean, we voted a lot of zoning things when there's all,
okay, fair enough.
When there's a lot of changes and feedback and stuff. So that's the only purpose. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we can meet as often as you like, but if we don't do that tonight as a formality, just to get to the second vote where we can make all the changes, we are going to delay the overall budget even longer than people. Actually, I should restate that. I've heard a lot of concerns about the final date of the budget, but the final date of the budget we had all along, forever before any discussion, was June 16th. So if in fact we are able to get this approved, so to speak, or adopted as a first reading, we can meet that June 16th date, I think. If we don't adopt it tonight, we cannot meet the June 16th date. So it's really up to the council. It doesn't matter. Anybody else? Ms. Feeney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question. Can we have a conversation? I have a number of questions, and I am not privileged to be on the Finance Subcommittee, that I would like to ask. Can we do that tonight?
I don't see why not. We have a lot of things on the agenda. I mean, it was mainly a public hearing, but it's within the public hearing is a discussion of the budget, so the public hearing portion is closed, but the council is still open. So if you'd like to ask questions, who are you asking these questions of?
I will be asking these questions of the mayor and the CFO.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mayor, Mr. CFO, like many people, I was taken aback or a little surprised about the decision about moving the Callahan Center under the library. And I just have a couple of questions about that, since a lot of it seems uncertain of what that looks like. Have you spoken to, or anybody in the office spoken to the Executive Office of Aging and Independent Living about this plan?
No.
Okay. Likewise, have we spoken to the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners?
I've had an extensive discussion with Dawn, the librarian, about the regulations regarding the formula for state aid. We've gone over it in very much detail. I have a report from her, and the proposed reorganization doesn't impact the library budget at all. So it'll have no impact on the state funding of the library.
Okay. Does this make the library director the official COA director then, the Council on Aging director?
I haven't developed the complete reorganization plan yet. That's yet to be distributed to you. It'll be like an oversight position. The assistant director of Callahan will run the day-to-day operations of the Callahan with the oversight of the director of the library.
Okay, because I asked that because there are a couple of state mandated responsibilities that come with being a COA director, including the mandated reporter for abuse in adults 60 plus. So I was wondering if that person, if the library director would be that.
That point was brought up recently, and the answer is, first of all, everybody that works down there is a mandated reporter. It's not the sole responsibility of the director of the Callahan. And that responsibility also goes with the director's position, not an individual. So that should have no effect whatsoever on mandated reporting.
Okay, that's why I asked about if the library director is going to be the official COA director. Do you have a plan of how the Council on Aging, the committee, will be working with the new library director on that?
The proposed reorganization has nothing to do with the operation of the Council on Aging.
Okay. So what do you think would be, say that this goes through, what would be the metrics that would be used to assess if this is working?
I think we have to work on that. I don't think we know exactly all those metrics. I know the primary purpose of the reorganization was to meet the requirements of the council in terms of your parameters for raising revenue. As you recall, the original budget I presented had called for a 4.5% increase in the tax levy and $14 million in use of free cash, and that did not involve the necessity of laying off any people or eliminating any positions. That plan was obviously rejected by the council and determined to be dead on arrival. And I was given instructions to come up with a budget that reflected a 3.5% increase in the tax levy and a $10 million use of free cash. That required me to come back with a budget that was approximately $8 million less than the original budget I presented in April. And that is not an easy thing to do. And I had to come up with some creative ideas to achieve that goal of cutting another $8 million out of the budget. And the reorganization, which resulted in the elimination of the director of the Parks Division and the elimination of the director of the Callahan Center made sense in the fact that it was a doable thing. We came up with a plan to do that and accommodate the cancellation of those positions, and we saved a substantial amount of money in the fiscal '27 budget.
Thank you for that. One other question about the Council on Aging and the Callahan Center. So as you know, the Director of Elder Services launched with UMass the most comprehensive survey of our seniors that Framingham has ever done. And my understanding is that UMass is processing all of that data right now. And this fall, we're going to get the findings. So without a director, what's going to happen to this survey that would then influence their strategic planning moving forward?
We're not going to be without a director. We won't have a person with that title, but the people that work there, as a matter of fact, I had a very good meeting with the staff this afternoon. They're very eager to take on that challenge of running that department, and they're looking forward to it. We have a very competent assistant director who will step up to the plate and work with other people to review that survey. I take issue with you in terms of who got that grant and made arrangements for the survey. There was a lot of people involved, and it didn't fall on the shoulders of the previous director. And I'm very confident that the results of that survey will be properly analyzed, and whatever needs to be implemented as a result of that survey will be done. It'll be done well.
I appreciate your answers to all these questions because there's a lot of unknowns about this and how this is going to work, as much as there are some questions about Parks and Rec. And the reason why I bring up the survey and the strategic plan is because this has been an issue that is ongoing throughout this entire budget to conversation about strategic plans. The school has a strategic plan that they follow. The Council on Aging started, working in partnership, the city in partnership with UMass on this, which they, to use for their strategic plan. We talk about the sustainability coordinator that is funded for 6 months in this budget, and there is a plan for clean energy and our fighting our climate change, that plan is supposed to be coming as well. And the library is also undergoing their strategic plans. So my point is that there's all these strategic plans happening that could look at these issues about combining offices, departments, looking how we can strategically do these things better to save money. So by not having, I worry that having one person taking on 3 roles, veterans, library, and Council on Aging, regardless of that she's a fabulous person, this is nothing about Dawn, that we will not be able to take full advantage of these plans, move forward, and do what we need to do to make sure that our seniors have services, that our kids have services, that our veterans have services, and that we all have services and plan for the future. So these are my concerns. I just think our seniors deserve better, and there are 20,000 of them. I live with 3 of them, and they're very grumpy. And the Callahan Center recorded more than 37,000 visits. So this is why I'm concerned about this, and one of the things that I would like to propose is a motion to request the Finance Subcommittee to work with the administration to reinstate the salary of the Director of Elder Services and put this position back in the city organization.
Well, there's already a motion on the table, so right now that motion is not in order.
What about amending the motion, the current motion?
It's not related.
The main point of information, when you have a main motion, the main motion is fully amendable. And I think it's important for us, I don't know that I necessarily support the motion, but I think it's important for us as a body to thrash out and deal with the issue of Callahan, parks, schools, the things that are issued, and we need to make some decisions so that everybody can move on and go forward with us. I would.
Well, we can take the motion after
we invited them to the subcommittee meeting tomorrow, Thursday night?
Right, but they were.
I'm saying the full council.
All right, but couple things. First of all, I didn't say we couldn't vote on the motion tonight. I just said there's a motion on the table. I suppose we could amend the main motion since it's referring to budget, but I think it would be a little bit cleaner to have it a separate motion. So that's one issue.
Yes.
The other issue is, we do, as Mr. Ottaviani pointed out, this budget is before the subcommittee right now. So we would be, again, changing our procedure quite a bit if we start amending the main motion before the subcommittee report. We don't do that in generally other areas. So, you know, and it's just, it's not,
why are we putting
Miss
to a
Bryant, you're not recognized, Miss Bryant, please.
I'm sorry.
So, you know, it becomes a process issue, and generally, for the city council to consider something, we have waited to hear from the subcommittee. So if the city council wants to take over the budget, then I think the city council should meet Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and not the subcommittee.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Stefanini.
I'd like to make a few comments. The first is, as I understand the motion before us, it's a vote on the entire budget for the first reading of the budget. Is that correct?
Yes, but it was stated to be procedural, but yes.
Procedural or otherwise, that means the entire subject matter of the entire budget is before us, in which case, if we're going to get a general reading, and I think we need to start to make some decisions so that we can, before the second vote, make adjustments of things that need to be adjusted. And I'd like to address the counselor from District 2. I think it's important for us to have a vote tonight on a first vote in the budget. One, so that we can advance the timeline that the chairman talked about. I think that's very important. But I also think that in that process, we need to flesh out and have some information and discussion about the various changes that are there so that we don't get to the final vote and we have no optionality, no ability, or we will not have a budget on the 16th. If we don't do some work, not the Finance Committee, the council. I'd like to know, the council voted 5-0 at the request of the schools to make a determination on the school budget, so the school committee is meeting tomorrow night so they can do their piece. I think we owe the school committee a decision on that the 11 of us have come to. I think on the reorganization issues, which have gotten a lot of attention in the community, we need to thrash through those things and make a determination so that the mayor and his team can decide, are we going forward and are we filing reorganization plans? Are we looking for funds to adjust those things? And lastly, on the fundamental issue, I think it was also raised by the council from District 2 and a couple of speakers around reserve funds. $10 million in reserves is putting us at great risk. It's what we agreed to at 11-0 as part of this. That's an equivalent of a 4% tax increase because everything we don't raise gets spent. So to answer Mr. Ward's question, if we don't use those dollars, then the taxes automatically go up by whatever it takes to pay for it.
So, again, I have no personal preference on this, but I do feel that we have rules and we have a way that we have done business since we've been a city. And generally, the council does not start hashing out recommendations from the finance or any other committee before the recommendations are complete. So that becomes the issue. So if we decide we don't want to do that anymore, we can change our rules that say the subcommittees have to make a report. And that might be okay. I could actually maybe be convinced that we're better off with that type of process. So we just do everything right here, the full council meeting. We can meet every week instead of every other week and have no subcommittees. There may be merit to that, and I don't in any way disregard the potential merit of that. You know, some people don't agree, but you know, there's maybe merit to that. But I don't think changing so in midstream is really the way we should do it. So, you know, it's up to the council what you want to do. So we'll see. So, as of right now, I'll recognize Mr. Ottaviani in 1 second. As of right now, there's one motion on the table, another one in reserve. Mr. Ottaviani.
Didn't we hear from the schools how important it was, so they at least knew the extent of what their cuts might have to be, so they needed a number, and that's why we voted 5-0 on the Finance Subcommittee the other night to support that budget number. So that's only 5 people, all right? There's 11 of us. They need, they need a 6 or a 7 number with the vote. They need a majority
I
in
think
this
the
council.
idea the other night was to
To move it along to the second reading, that's all it was gonna do.
Right.
So we could stay in a time frame that accommodated the schools the best we could, and ourselves. But they had the time deadline with their teachers. That's what we've heard over and over again.
Ms. Bryant.
First, respectfully, Chair, I completely disagree with your characterization of what Councilor Stefanini was saying and proposing, and the implications that would cause. And in terms of like the council taking over the subcommittee work and all like that, I just think that was more born out of that doesn't base necessarily. I'm not going to go into it, but I just think that that's a mischaracterization of the situation, probably born out of frustration. But since you're asking us as a council to vote on whether it's the first read or not, we're voting on something and we need to hash it out, and we should be able to make changes to it. Now, if you're saying that the finance subcommittee did not make a report on it yet, and you feel that it is against procedure for us to amend or change anything, then it should not have come to us. Then you shouldn't have asked us to I don't feel you should have asked us then to basically vote in favor of it until you guys made a recommendation on it. But having said that, nevertheless, I will say this: I will not. I will not, since we cannot amend it with the Parks and Rec director's position and absolutely the Callahan Center director's position. To put those back in, I would absolutely vote no on going any further with this budget as it is. I would not, even first reading or not, I would vote no at this point, because I don't feel like by the time we go to the second reading, we're going to be pressed and under deadline. And if we don't make the June 16th deadline, that is really not. I don't feel that is due to the council per se. Maybe it's due to all the issues we have, that we're the difficulty of the budget problems going on. But at the same time, I don't. I don't feel like that's like on the fact of the problem. A problem that is caused by the city council. And the council's first responsibility is to give due process and adjudicate thoughtfully and as earnestly as possible on these matters, especially the budget that's set for the whole year. Mary Kate Feeney already asked the mayor some questions, but I would like to later on be able to question him more about those two positions, the reorganization thing. I don't think we should even be asked to vote at a first reading when they don't have a clear, we haven't been giving a clear, detailed plan for the reorganization. And I don't agree with just cutting the head off of two organizations that have hit their stride, and you cannot match the value of the experience of the director's position has had for the Callahan Center all this time. And I think that the staff at the Callahan Center, what choice would they have but to act excited so that their positions don't get cut also. And then Parks, and I think that putting it under the library, it does not make it make sense. I would say it does not necessarily make sense when the Callahan Center has represented the senior population, is the baby boom population, which is a huge population, and they're still engaged and involved. And Mary Kate Feeney's numbers speak for themselves, but even more than the numbers she threw out, you have a huge population that values this Callahan Center, that calls the Callahan Center, that visits, that keeps up with it, promotes it, which promotes Framingham. They promote Framingham and a trust in Framingham and the value of Framingham because of the work that the selfless director, Randy Ellsworth, and the director before him, and the Council of Aging and the staff put in. We need to stop getting rid of the people who have a natural love for their position. Parks and Rec has hit their stride in starting to create, breaking down barriers and creating community through the projects and the work that they're being done, and they're working tirelessly. And I think, again, some people have questioned whether it's a political hit. So it's not a good look for Framingham to do it that way. I understand the difficulties the mayor of them have, but maybe we do something in between the original budget proposal and but this is not the place to cut. So I would vote no on this first reading to approve it at this stage or at any stage until those two positions are put back in.
Thank you. Has anyone like to speak who has not yet spoken? Okay, Mr. Ward and Mr. Stephanie. Oh, I didn't see Mr. Cannon.
So I'm going to touch on Councilor Feeney's motion. Is this the appropriate time to do that, or you want to take that up next?
We'll take it up next.
Okay, so you want to come back to me? I'll speak on that okay, that's fine. Thank you.
I just had 2 quick points, previous points that were made. In regards to the vote taken by the Finance Subcommittee last week on the school budget, I'm prepared to commit to that as a floor for the school committee. So I think that should give the schools some certainty around their path forward. It's my hope that the school committee tomorrow will give us some options. What are the priorities in those remaining 31 positions? I don't think it's realistic to fund all of them, perhaps, but give us some options. And then in terms of Councilor Stefanini's point around free cash, I'm certainly not advocating that we move that all into the tax levy. Or anywhere near that. That's not a good plan. But last year we were at 9.6 million in free cash usage, so we're going in the wrong direction. Which, if we're saying that next year could be worse, I think we should be trying to get ourselves closer to 9 million or 8.5 million. So those are the conversations that I think we should be having.
All right, Ms. Malik.
I just want to speak to the timeline for a second. We, a month or 2 ago, we asked all counselors to possibly hold June, I think, 9th and June 23rd as possible city council meetings, and if needed for budget votes. So I do feel like that's in our back pocket. If there's, desire on the full council to continue talking or voting about it, I think we do.
That's what I said, definitely.
So, I think these are really important conversations, and I do think it's a good question if the discussion of the reorganization should be happening in the full council or in the subcommittee. I think that's, the subcommittee meets at 5 o'clock. I think that's more of a challenge for parents with young children who might be interested. Yes, all meetings are also available on the government channel after to watch, but I do think it's worth thinking about that reorganization conversation happening in the full council and not just the finance subcommittee.
Right, well, the reorganization has not even been proposed to the full council. It only is part of the budget, but the reorganization itself has not been proposed to the full council. So it's not happening anywhere at this point. So it's only been discussed both here and there as part of the budget of the positions not being budgeted, but the reorganization itself has not been proposed to the council.
Can I respond to that? So I'll just say that I would have concerns voting on a budget without seeing that reorg plan.
Well,
So I say that to the mayor.
yeah, I know,
not to
but
you.
I mean, just realistically, it's not going to happen, so.
Well, I guess respectfully, Mr. Mayor, I don't understand how you can, I'm not sure it's a reasonable ask to ask us to vote on a budget without knowing what the reorg plan is. Like, I just.
Well, you're just voting, notwithstanding what your question is, you know what it is, but it's, but
Operationalizing it, right.
it's budgetizing. Well, right now, we're
Right, we're just
budgetizing it.
budgeting.
And then, some of the questions that Mary Kate asked and stuff like that, I'm sure will be part of a more in-depth reorg plan. And I know what you're saying, but at the same point, it's not in front of us, so, right now. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Wait a minute, I'm letting people who haven't spoke yet, but then, Mr. Alexander?
my question is, if we have this first reading vote, are we required in the subsequent meetings to have the second reading? In other words, can we have just open discussion on the 16th and then have a second reading, like, say, the 23rd?
Absolutely, yeah. If you want to. I mean, we can do anything we want. We don't have to vote the first reading tonight. I was simply suggesting it to try to keep the train on the track. Like I said before, I'm scheduled here every Tuesday and Thursday night for the month of June. I don't really care how we do it or when we do it. I'm just trying to do what we've done in the past. If we want to do it differently, I don't have a horse in the race.
Don't we need a balanced budget by June 30th? Yes or no?
We do need a balanced budget.
So that's 28 days away, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we are on a time crunch.
I just think, first of all, I'll take responsibility for some of it because I was on the Charter Commission. I think some of the issues in the Charter that require things like 2 votes are kind of cumbersome because I'm not sure what it really accomplishes it for us at this point to have 2 votes. So, but we have to. In the past, we've kind of made the first vote an informal vote, just for the purpose of moving it towards its final decision. We don't have to do that. But
Perfect example is the zoning, when we're going to take
yeah, it happens all the time. We do it all the time. So
the first vote was almost in favor, and then it switched 150 or 360 degrees, then we left the permitting granting authority to the planning board and zoning board.
Right. So it
Totally changed.
Right. So we can do it any way people want to do it, but we need to have some consensus on how we're going to do it. But in fairness to the truth, we have never, to my recollection, started voting and amending recommendations for the overriding issue while it was still in the subcommittee. And really, our rules say
Mr.
it
Chairman,
shouldn't be.
point of parliamentary inquiry. You're not stating the rules in any real way. You need to reconsider where you're at. This entire point of parliamentary inquiry. Point of parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
No, I'm not yet. I am not at any
A point of parliamentary inquiry has the ability to interject in the speaker's comments. That's the Roberts Rules of Order.
I'm not making comments. I'm just trying to
Point
figure
of
out.
parliamentary inquiry.
You can keep saying that all night, John.
Right, but you've got to follow the rules. You're not following the
I am
rules here.
following the rules. Have you read the rules?
I have, and if you're being consistent, we've never voted on the first ruling, the first motion on the budget before it gets out of the Finance Committee. This would make a great law school study of how not to do rules through this entire process. So I'm not going to go back through that. What I'm suggesting to you is that if we're going to be productive as a group, you need to change your ruling and allow for a debate and a conversation on this first ruling of the budget so we can make some real decisions as opposed to pushing it off. Because there are real questions about whether or not you can move funding for a department and an authority to another department and reorganize it without going through the reorganization process, because it is a reorganization. So we got to lay these things on the table. And I'm not suggesting we replace the subcommittee work. I'm suggesting that there are 11 people here. We have real things that we need to have resolved tonight. The school department budget, where folks think about the reorganization plans, Callahan and Parks and Rec, and where we feel overall in terms of the overall revenue scheme. And I don't care how you do it, but as chair, you need to figure out some way to get the 11 of us to give an opinion on that.
Thank you. I am working on that. I understand your opinion, but I'm trying to get some other people's opinions too. But just to be clear, there is no reorganization before us, and anything to do with the reorganizations is simply the defunding of 2 positions. And that is something that the city council can do, and we just got the appeals court that said that. So therefore, but in this instance, it's being recommended by the mayor anyways. So that's what's happening here. That's all the budget consideration is regarding these. The mayor has shared with us what his intent is and why he's doing it. But the only budgetary issue as to these positions is defunding of 2 positions. That's all.
That's not true. The positions have been moved from one department to another.
Broad.
That's a reorganization. You're not stating facts, Mr. Chairman.
I think I am stating facts, but
The Park and Rec budget has been moved, the personnel, to capital. So it's not just defunding, that is a reorganization. So if we vote on moving the budgets from one to the other, do we then eliminate our prerogative to then vote on a reorganization a month later because we've already voted to reorg?
Yeah, I mean, I thought of that question myself, and it's an interesting question, but I mean, you always have the opportunity to put them back in the budget too.
But that's, I'm not exercising an opinion. I'm trying to help us figure out how
I
to
appreciate
get-
your assistance, but right now, let's take a straw vote here. Actually, let's not take a straw vote. I'm going to take a vote on the motion. If we vote the motion down, and then we'll vote it down. That's the way we're going to do it. So let's get past this motion and and then we can do what reasonably would be on the agenda to do. I mean, we don't, in fairness, and I think a public hearing is probably broad enough. It's close, because it's really not on the agenda. Budget discussion and motions is not really on the agenda. A public hearing on the
You asked
budget,
us to have a first vote on the budget.
I
Is
know.
that not a vote on the budget?
but after a public hearing. But I'm just saying, a full discussion of the budget isn't on the agenda. I don't know.
You know,
It's a close call.
it,
So I want to check one other thing, that I think it's not accurate, what you said. I do not see the, Park and Rec has not had their salaries moved it's in the same budget, so you're incorrect about your statement.
He's cutting two people.
I know, right.
He told us
So-
what he's going to do.
So you're
You
sitting
have to
here.
tell us that.
Right, he doesn't have to, but you're sitting here saying things are happening, but Park and Rec is still as an intact department. All right, so let's start with the first, the motion.
Explain it so the public knows what we're
Right,
doing.
so the motion is just to approve the budget at the first reading, simply so we can, in the future, approve it at the second reading, which would be the final reading. It is fully amendable. Any possible change that anyone would want to make can be made after this vote. This vote simply gets through a procedural level. That's all it does. There's no,
point of order, or are the motions supposed to?
what's the
be
point of
stated-
order?
Are the motions allowed to be stated with bias?
That's not a point of order. So we're going to take a vote.
Mr. Chairman?
No, we're taking a vote on the motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
Point of
Stephanie,
parliamentary inquiry.
no, we're taking a vote.
So we're doing no parliamentary process.
Well, I think we're trying to, but you seem to want to be derailing it, but go ahead.
I'm not trying to derail it. You're trying to have a first vote on the entire budget without offering or allowing a single amendment on it. That is not appropriate parliamentary procedure. That is not the way we have done the budget ever, and that's not the way any parliamentary body ever operates. That's fabrication. So if
You
we're
worked
gonna-
in the
if we're gonna-
legislature for about 12 years. You know
And every
exactly how it
amendment- Every
operates.
amendment was amendable. If we're going to vote on
Right,
the
and the
entire
budget is amendable. I just said the budget is amendable.
So this is the budget. If it's the first vote is just as amendable as the second vote.
Right, but then, John, we come to the next problem, which you seem to want to ignore, is that there is not recommendations from the committee. Again, I am happy to have the entire budget discussion at city council meetings going forward. So if you'd like to start that right now, I would be happy to do that. It's a complete change in
That's
process.
total fabrication. That's not what this is at all. You've asked for a first vote on the budget. You've
no
asked
idea.
for the first vote on the budget.
What would you like to do?
I'd like to have us figure out how we want to proceed.
Well, we're trying to figure that out. That's what we're trying to figure out.
But if we have a vote on the first order, how are we going to figure out Parks, Callahan?
Because we can discuss that between now and the second order.
Finance subcommittee, they're coming into our meeting.
Miss Brian, please, you're not in the room, please do not speak.
Yeah, but I'm still in the meeting.
You are, but it's difficult when you're on Zoom.
Okay.
Ms. Long, do you have something to say?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is not atypical from what we've done. And I can recall when we had a different mayor and a reorganization of department that we didn't have to go through any additional process to remove positions, defund a position. This is just a first read like anything that, and if you don't want to vote for it, say no. That gives the message that you want to have this amended.
I
Because
agree.
I'm going to be voting no.
It can be, well, all right, but we're all going to vote no because we want to amend it. We're not going to get anywhere, so we might as well just withdraw the motion. Why don't you withdraw, Mr. Olivier, why don't you withdraw the motion?
Withdrawn.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying on a first read.
No, I know, but the idea, We've done it in zoning, we've done it for 8 years. All of a sudden,
Right,
it's a
this has
problem.
been the process for every,
But I think I think you
hearing.
misunderstood. So are you going to vote no or vote yes? To kick it down so we could go to a second reading?
no, I want to vote,
To move it along? You
Yes.
misunderstood her, Counselor King.
You said no.
She didn't, no, I didn't think she said no. He did.
He did, right, that's what I mean.
Does that make a difference in?
Well, I think we should vote on it. Let's just, it's either dead or it's good.
Right,
We're
we
going to be
have-
here all night.
We're offering amendments.
we vote on zoning all the time, and you say yes the first time, and then you kill it the second time, once we get into the
Exactly,
whole
we do that
discussion.
all the time. That's my
So
entire
then
point.
It doesn't get killed off.
We
the
have to
second
move
time.
forward here, so I'm going to take a vote on Mr. Aviani's motion.
So now you had me withdraw. Can I make it again?
Yes, make it.
I move that we move
Okay,
on to
moved
the
and
second
seconded.
reading and make it perfectly clear that everything is amendable. We have a finance subcommittee meeting Thursday. We're going to have directors brought in. Anybody can watch the meeting or come sit in the audience. We got a ruling. As long as you don't speak, you can sit here. We can have a room full of people.
It's a little late, though, to talk about a Thursday meeting.
Ms.
on
Bryant,
Tuesday
please.
night.
Well, it's been
Mr.
on the
King-
books for a long time, so.
Mr.
Well,
Aviani.
so there's other meetings people
right.
have.
All right.
I got
Mr.
plenty of
Cannon,
zoning.
is this about the
Sentence.
vote we're about to take?
It is. There's no product on which to, I mean, we can do whatever you want to do. I'm going to vote no because there's no product to vote on. So whatever this, I mean,
I don't know what you're talking about. There is a product, a submitted budget, and we're just voting it for the first time.
that's residing before the finance subcommittee. Do whatever you want to do.
Well, it was given to the city, well, that's an excellent point, though. It was submitted to the city council and referred to the finance subcommittee, but it's still, that's the point I was making, essentially, but it's like anything else. It goes to a subcommittee. We usually wait till it comes back to vote. I get that. The specific procedures here, that's the issue of the amendment.
It's an unusual year. I'm not trying to be myself and be difficult, but that is prompting the thoughtful is the word you're looking for, Janet.
All right, so just for the sake, you can vote no, anybody can vote yes or no, just for the sake of seeing what we want to do here. Let's just vote it, and one way or the other. Mr. Aviani?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander? Mr. Ward?
No.
Mr. Cannon?
No.
Ms. Lambrino?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Stefanini?
Yes.
Ms. Sweeney?
Yes.
Ms. Malik?
No.
Ms. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Absolutely no.
Fine, so now the budget is passed for the first reading, 8-3. It still remains amendable. With the-
Even though we didn't get a
Ms. Bryant, please. With the-
I'm asking
Ms.
a
Bryant,
question.
Ms. Bryant, Ms. Bryant, hold
Inquiry.
on for a minute.
Okay.
So now, would the council like to continue discussion on the budget under the public hearing?
Yes, do you need a motion?
Can I
No,
make?
just general,
Just
asking?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Who would like to say, do something?
Can I
So,
make?
Counselor Feeney made a motion that I'd love to comment on. Does she need to restate that so it's on the floor?
Restate it.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that requesting the Council Finance Subcommittee to work with the administration to reinstate the salary of the Director of Elder Services.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
So, sorry, was that me?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the mayor and the team for all the work that's been done. Yeah, when we were talking, someone mentioned the Charter Commission before, and the word nimble was thrown around quite a bit during those meetings. And I don't know that in our first near decade as a city, we've been the most nimble that we aspired to be. I will say, in the previous number of weeks that the administration has endeavored to put this budget together during very trying times, nimble is the word that I would use. And I appreciate that, and I welcome and commend the work of the new CFO for doing. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten here. So I'm very impressed there. And ultimately, I think the plan, because others have mentioned it over the years, bringing synergies together between the Council on Aging and Elder Services, whatever we're going to call that, and libraries, I think that makes perfect sense. I think figuring out how we care for our capital assets that are parks, et cetera, under facilities, I think there's a lot of synergy there. So broadly speaking, I think you're making some wise decisions. I think they're courageous decisions, because in any senior elected role that you, like the one you hold, the easiest thing to do, the one filled with the least amount of resistance and the least political risk, is to do things the way we've always done that. So I appreciate and applaud that you've recognized that we need to do some things, and I think you're making some bold and sound decisions. Where I support the spirit of the motion, I think there's a solution here. What I worry about is, and again, this is, others have said, this is nothing about Dawn. I think library and senior services, I think that works really well together. They both serve similar populations very effectively. And while this has nothing to do with Dawn, I think she's a sound leader for that. Where I have concerns is not just the accreditation piece, not just some of the things that Councilor Feeney had stated, including the cranky seniors in her home that she referenced.
Should be in trouble for that later.
I think what I have found is that since in the last couple of weeks, as you've massaged this budget, you have discovered opportunities, you've found different ways of doing things, and if we've exhausted, as you probably concluded initially, that this is a cut that is unavoidable, okay, fine. It's unpleasant. These are difficult times. My sense is that as you continue to work through things, you're going to find ways to find whatever that number was, 140, whatever that number was in this $398-something million budget, to restore that. I worry about the work that's been done. That assessment that Framingham, I think, is going to be a leader on. I think that's going to be very transformational for us, or at least give us the opportunity to do so. And that was a team effort to get to that point. I worry about losing that experience. You have a director with very specialized experience, I think more than a quarter of a century, a master's in the field, and more than a decade of experience in that building. To have all of those changes happen at once and lose not just the institutional memory, but the just so many of those processes before we actually know what the reorganization looks like, I think that is filled with some considerable risk. And seeing the work that you've been doing so far to find solutions elsewhere, maybe there's a way that you can find a solution here. I know this is already on your radar. I know you're already working through this, and maybe you're figuring it out anyway. And obviously, there's nothing that the council can do to add something to the budget, the exception being schools. When we did that, by the way, back years and years ago, the school budget was like $50 million less than what it is now. I mean, it is a different world. But I am hopeful that we, in that growing population, we're doing everything we can. And I know you're committed there to doing everything we can to effectively serve our growing senior population. So I would be very much in support of you working collaboratively amongst yourselves to find a solution to restore that position. So I'll support that amendment or that motion, or whatever that is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody else? Oh, I did see your hand, sorry. Short-term memory loss, I know. Well,
Yes.
speak up.
No, thank you.
To hit me.
So I respect a lot of what Mike said, and Mary Kate had really good questions. And, when this came up, we want the mayor to make, consolidations. We've been talking about that. We've been talking about trying to find consolidations between the schools and to share resources with the schools and with the city. And I think that the mayor and the team have really, thought through this. And I think that, the concerns are there. And when Heather called in earlier, and, it was me she was talking about, because I was at the Callahan Center today, and I've talked to a few of the library trustees just about how this whole process, maybe it could have been rolled out a little better, but I think it was the way that when you're going to lose a position and then you're going to merge a department, and you have to make sure that everyone knows. So before it gets brought out, and the library board, it is a little bit of a different situation because it is an elected board, and it's the only elected board that actually has any oversight over any division that the mayor is in charge of. So I can see them being, concerned, and I can also see the Callahan Center, also with concerns, and I know that there were a bit, as rightfully so. And I have been talking with Dawn all along, and I, because I think Dawn is great, and, the part about her being a Marine isn't why she would do great or why she's great. It's just sort of, or to say that, she can take on a huge task only because she's a Marine. I think there's a lot of moving parts with this, because if you go to the Callahan Center and if you go to the library, You'll see these are almost self-running facilities. And not to say that they don't need directors and that Dawn, doesn't have to be there, or, Randy or whatnot. But I think that this is a really forward-thinking idea. I think that the cross references between the veterans, the seniors, and the library, it's just a natural mix. And being at the Callahan meeting today, Dawn was there, Allison from Parks and Rec were there, and Chris, the VSO officer. And there were a lot of the seniors that worked with the veterans and the libraries, and you could already see the meeting, the conversations. And I think that this really is, people are saying, oh, it's a cut to the seniors. But if people haven't gone over to the senior center lately, I mean, you walk in there, it's like, I don't know, it's a vibrant place it's been running from the volunteers and from the staff, and Noelia and Terry and, Carol Locke and the Callahan Board and the Council on Aging. And you look at the people at the library, it's the same vibrancy, and, you don't want to say they self-run, but it almost feels that they do. And the energy that was there today, and just the ideas of what they can do, because you have the veterans now, they're already talking about having luncheons where they're going to bring the veterans, where they didn't have a way to get to the library or to get to the senior, the Callahan Center. They're going to start bringing them to the lunches. And if we can get, if we can reach out to a segment of our population that might be being missed, I think that this kind of a merge is really, it's forward thinking. And I just wanted to make that point, and I'm not too, everything that Mary Kate had asked about, or I'm sure Tracy, if she gets, to ask some questions. And Mike's concerns, they're totally valid, and I think that all of the concerns are, but I do know just from the last week or so that this has been kind of, on the forefront, and, there've been multiple meetings. The mayor went to the library board meeting, and was explaining to the library, the library trustees that had questions. And the mayor is an open door, so if anybody has questions, you can just ask him. I mean, I've called him 32 times in the past week, and he has, well, maybe not that many.
He's loving you.
Yeah, but, but that's the thing, is because I do have questions, because and then just to finish, you have the three lowest, in a sense, in the totem pole of the seniors, the libraries, and the veterans. And the pie chart's this big, and the schools get this much, and the police, the fire, and by the time you get to parks, it's just this little baby piece. So I think it's a good thing to strengthen this veterans, libraries, seniors, under the leadership of Dawn, who's not going to go in and take over, but it's going to help guide. I just think it's a really good thing. And I just wanted to mention that part about them being a stronger entity as a team, as a three, as opposed to three separate. So I'm sorry I went on longer than I planned, but I just wanted to share that with what I thought. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, Councilor Bryant, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So, and I thank the Councilor Liam Bruno for her comments. But I do want to say that to create the appearance of organizations being self-run, it takes a lot of direction and expertise and experience. And while I'm all in favor of those departments working synergistically, that is very different from subsuming one from the other. It's almost like the very people who lead their organizations to a seamlessness and very big, outreach are being cut, right? And I will point out, I was going to say I love Dawn, but I don't want to make it so personal as all that. And saying that I personally support her work. She has the least experience in her position of than Randy has in his, and whereas he's been, and all this. So it just seems, no matter how you put it, whenever you put them all together, right, and you cut from the very top, that means that you are, you can't possibly provide the level of detailed focus and service, focus on service that you did before. Also, the people who are supervising need to actually have as much, if not more, expertise than the departments and the people in departments that they're supervising. And that would not be the case. And also the libraries, and the Callahan Center and the veterans organizations, they all, they may, by some, they may be considered the smallest things, but for me, they're like the most hugely important for their populations. And while there is some overlap, the library is not like just for seniors, or they don't overlap like that completely. Seniors use the library too. They're a part, it's a subset. They use the population, they use that. But what the libraries do and need to continue to do and focus on and continue to provide is very, very, very detailed, but very big and always ever broadening. And it does build community, and it has actually saved some lives also, because of the work, what the library offers. So, and it has changed a lot of lives. On the same token, the Callahan Center, the level of senior medical adjacent, psychology adjacent, and not even adjacent, the sociology, the psychology, the training, the nursing, and all of these things that also are a party to the work that they do, or just embedded in the work they do, okay? All of the counseling to people in Framingham and otherwise who are dealing with senior care and whatnot, and the different diseases that sometimes accompany senior, that age bracket. And just looking after those needs, the Council on Aging and the Callahan Center, that's completely one in the sense, the projects that they've done to ensure that seniors can continue to be as mobile in their lives, continue to be valued members of society, get around, all of that. They're working 24/7 in their job. Our libraries are working. The staff is so hard in their job, but they love their areas, right? And the Veterans Council, and the department, please, right? And we have volunteers who want to help in these areas. I think that facilities, maybe supervising or interacting with Parks and Rec and some other departments, that would make sense to me. Maybe buildings and grounds for the school department being under, our, somehow connected. But our DPW, we're a city, and we have a huge population, and we take up a wide space. Our DPW department is huge, right? And if we want to continue to have the services, then we need to stop cutting that. It seems to me it wasn't politically risky to make these moves because it seems to hit the areas and the departments where the people are so committed to the work anyway and so invested that they will, then you're not going to have a whole bunch of political backbiting and infighting about it. They're still going to do the work that they're doing. So I don't think that they should be merged together. I think it devalues the services for all of them. It is. I think that's too risky. We may be able to synergize some of it and save some money that way, but I don't think cutting the director positions at this point is the way to do that. We've had people leave before after serving for umpteen years, and I think we need to have that synergy go on for a lot more years before we could consider subsuming one under the other.
Thank you, Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Chair. So my general request of maybe Councilor Feeney is if she has interest in maybe amending the motion a little bit, maybe hedging it. I don't think I'd be in favor of a motion asking the mayor's office to restore the position without a better understanding of what we lose in place of it. So I would support a discussion around what are our options. Like, can we go and, limit the McAuliffe Library hours on the weekend and cut leaf pickup to 2 days from 4? What are our options here that let us do like a values exercise and say which of these things are more important to us? Because we've asked the mayor to make some tough decisions to make the budget numbers work, and he's given us some options, and so I appreciate the work he did to do that. Now, we might not agree with all those, and I would love to see I appreciate what Randy provides, but yeah, I would love to see him restored, but I don't know if that's feasible. So my only ask would be, can we ask the Finance Subcommittee to explore the options to get us to that final number? And for that, I'd be in favor.
Ms.
Need a motion?
No, he's asking her, so I'm
Yeah,
asking.
I'll second that, because I agree with him. And through you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'm just asking Ms. Feeney as the motion maker whether she's going to accept it.
Yeah, I just had a question. So it would be to explore putting it in, not making it definite to restore?
I don't know what we're having to take out to restore it, so.
Well, I mean, I would assume that this is part of a wider conversation when it comes to everything, right? And I do think, I mean, I don't want to predict what the Finance Subcommittee will do. I'll accept that.
Okay, so just for the clarification, now it is stated that the request is to explore as to redoing it in light of what the trade-offs would be.
Well, give us some options. What could we take out of the budget elsewhere to restore this position?
Okay. Ms. Long?
No, I agree with Counselor Ward.
Okay.
And I was going to ask you, through you, to the CFO, if he had any comments on that, of any suggestions he might have after hearing all of this.
On
to put you on the
what?
spot.
On what? Ask, right, I don't think it's I mean, if he wants to speak, he can, but I don't think it's a fair question to have him evaluate the options at this point in the middle of the meeting as to what the options would be, so, all right. Anybody else on this subject? All right, so all those, I haven't got my list out tonight. I know. Well, I'll do it differently tonight. I'm going to start like that. So I'll start with Mr. Alexander and work that way. So that's the old-fashioned way I used to do it. Mr. Alexander?
This is the vote to explore, right?
Yes.
Okay, just getting it straight. Yes.
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Hey, Bruno?
Yes.
Sure. Stephanie? We can explore, I mean, that's all we do in this Finance Subcommittee, so why not? I mean, it's an easy vote, right? It's an easy yes vote, so.
Keep going.
Back to school.
Mr. Stephanie?
Yes.
Ms. Feeney?
No, yes, I'm kidding, yes. Sorry, yes.
Malik?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant? I called Ms. Long. Ms. Bryant?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Laviani? Okay, thank you.
Reluctantly.
All right. Anything else on the budget?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would move that we ask the Finance Subcommittee to work with the mayor to keep the Park Commission separate, as a separate department.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
I have sorry.
Mr. Laviani, then Ms. Malik.
So keeping it separate is one thing, but defunding or taking away the director is another thing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So they're not one and the same,
They're not one and the same.
just keeping it separate.
That's correct.
Okay.
Which means we'd have to figure out how we do that, but it's asking for a solution that's not economic. It's asking for a solution to make it independent.
Yep.
Ms. Malik.
Thank you. I guess I'll just go back to what's the big picture for the reorg? What's the plan? Where's the org chart? For us to say, to go back and say, can you look at this or explore this piece and explore this piece? We're effectively asking to explore the entire reorg of the division of the Parks Department. So
Sorry.
I guess, like, maybe a question to the mayor and the CFO is, like, when can we look at this? Like, I'm not convinced that we're going to be exploring substantively in the finance subcommittee unless there's the big picture plan for the reorg. And same thing for Parks Department. Like, I don't feel like I can make these decisions in isolation. I'm not like, where's the Park Department, but how does it stand in relation to all of the other departments? And that, you know, we talk about this with the comp and class study every time that comes up, is like, where's the big picture look of how this all fits together in the big, you know, municipal enterprises, people like to say. And I just think that it's looking holistically, not at each position. So I don't know when we might get this big picture, but to me, that's really at the core of this, not this one job person and this person's one job.
But I'd like to make a comment. I think, though, that this is a budget, okay? It's not a reorganization plan. We didn't like the budget, I didn't like it, when it had $14 million of free cash and 4.5%. We asked them to make some difficult cuts. Everybody made some difficult cuts, and they've done, I think, a good job on it to make this work still and get that money out of the budget, which makes our budgeting overall more sustainable. I give Dr. Tremblay a lot of credit for being able to work within his budget to make the cuts relatively absorbable. I give the mayor a lot of credit. We asked the mayor to make decisions. We've been asking the mayor for years to make decisions. We've been saying, please do some consolidations. Please consolidate between the schools and the city side. I hope we still can do that. I think we can do that. I think we've been slow on doing that. But, and I think the savings there. But he comes forward with a couple of reorganizations. I don't even like that word, to be honest with you. It's a couple of reductions in the budget to make a budget balance that we asked the budget. And they make sense. I mean, is it exactly how I would do it? Maybe not. But they make sense. And now he comes in here with this, and we want to kill the whole thing before we even had it presented to us. To me, it makes no sense. So I'm confident that I think the step with Park and Recreation, in my mind, is a good step. And because it gives control of the department, which is mainly, well, not mainly, it has a large maintenance and operations component to it. It gives that control to somebody who has experience in those areas. It also has a relatively large staff that, especially in the recreation side, who are all, to the best of my knowledge, still going to be there, who can run that side of the business and do run that side of the business to this day. So I wouldn't expect any major changes in that side. So this is a place where we can actually try and do what we've been saying. Let's combine these departments that do similar things and get some efficiencies. That's how we get money to do other things and, you know, to make our budget work. Otherwise, it's another $100,000, $250,000 that has to be taken from somewhere else. So is it a perfect scenario? No, but it's not like the mayor was hell-bent on doing this. He did it after we had a $5 million request from him. And he's following the procedure the best he can. So I am not going to vote for this particular amendment because I think it sends the wrong message to the entire budget process. And frankly, I mean, we just, again, I don't want to get back into rules or whatever. I mean, as of right now, we can't restore it because it's not recommended by the mayor. So we cannot restore it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Stefanini.
Thank you. I didn't speak much on this before, so I'll make a few comments.
I thought he did.
I was hoping for some clarity on Callahan, and I didn't have issues with the reorganization structure. I thought Ms. Leon-Bruno made a compelling case. On the issue of recreation, it was separate in the previous budget, and it is, I mean, it was together with capital, and now it is separate there. I have concerns, I don't think it's necessarily a great match. Yeah, they both do maintenance and whatnot, but they are very, very different departments. I also think we have to recognize that we're losing the deputy director, longtime deputy director for maintenance of parks. That means that the person who has run the maintenance, the director and the deputy director, will both be changed. I also think it gives the mayor an opportunity, and I appreciate that the mayor went forward and made some bold changes, and I don't have issues with a lot of them. I think it gives you an opportunity, Mr. Mayor, to look at merging the deputy director and the director together and maybe looking at that. The issues in Park and Recreation, they're probably one of the largest, if not the largest landowner in our community. They're the largest service provider, other than schools. They deal with complex issues like Chapter 91 and a huge constituency of people that are constantly needy and whatnot. None of those things exist in our capital projects. I think this is grossly unfair to our capital director, and putting that person in a position they have not exercised any background in, any history in. This person's going to be the park director and then running the custodial services and capital projects for the city. This is 3 times the size of the capital projects. The reason I made the motion the way I made it is it's budget neutral. Yeah, we may have to look for something, we'll have to work with the mayor, but this is a straw vote on whether or not we're going to support reorganization of this when the reorganization comes up, probably in July. And if we're not going to support the reorganization of this department in July, we should say that now. That's all. And I do appreciate the mayor's efforts, and I do appreciate all of the work that's gone into this, but that doesn't mean I've given up my prerogatives on every single issue that the mayor has made in the budget. This is one, and I think it's one that is a relatively important one. And I do think that the deputy director's departure creates a different scenario than what was aware to the mayor and us just a few weeks ago. That information has just become available.
There's no deputy director, just for the record.
Whatever, the director of maintenance, there are 2 divisions there, a recreational division and a parks division, whatever that title functionally is. The number 2 person.
I don't think he's a number 2 person, but okay. Anybody else on this motion? Ms. Bryant?
Quickly, because I have had comments, but I would just say to the mayor and to the council, honestly, yes, the mayor, he, like he said, he did what he had to do because we weren't satisfied with the first budget, and that's part of the process. But honestly, looking at what you did gives me pause to think, and what the people said about the school committee budget, you know, I can be more flexible. Maybe it justifies the first, some of the first, you know, your higher numbers or the way, your first solution. Right? So I would take the pause to look at it both ways if those are the only choices. But I think we definitely just need to have, you know, work with you guys to, you know, look at, as Brandon said, as Councilor Ward said, right? Consider the options, right? Maybe other ways to do it, whether it is limiting, do we need all the libraries open all the time? Do we need all, you know, different things? Maybe some programs that aren't as successful or don't have the numbers, maybe, you know, we don't do them as often or whatever. That would involve, I think, some of the staff of these different departments to give you input as to, well, if you had to cut, you know, a certain amount, how would you cut it, right? Getting their input like that, and then that gives you consideration. So then you know, and they would have to justify it to you, what is the most important, what is the least important. With the school budget, the thing with a lot of the public is this. While the people, the school department, I know the superintendent and others, you know, worked earnestly and they feel that they have, you know, they're doing their best. But a lot of the public said, have made comments like, again, and even people that spoke, student facing, put the money into the work that is most impactful and directly affecting students. And I don't think that they're clear, or they don't feel certain that that's where it's going. They feel that it may be top heavy administratively. But that may not be true, but I think that's the argument or that is the mountain that they need to, or the hurdle they need to clear in order to maybe settle the mind of the public as to justify the money that they want, that they feel that they absolutely need, the bottom line that they need from the city. So that's the hurdle that they have to do. They're asking a lot from the people. But Mayor, I wouldn't say give up on your former budget. Maybe we can, maybe something can come where there's a middle ground. But my concern is DPW, the services, these are the services that people care about and need, right? They are essential. And yet that department, I mean, I know they never say die.
Ms. Bryant, can you keep your comments on the Park and Rec issue for now?
Okay, just the Park and Rec, okay. I was thinking so Park and Rec, I think, well, Councilor Stefanini said it all, but I would vote to keep that position, at least for this next year, I would say. At least the director position, at least for the next year, just for stabilization, and so that we don't lose the momentum. We've got Mary Dennison, we've got a whole bunch of parks and everything going forward, and what the beneficial effect for the city at low cost in the long run, that makes it a better community that people want to go to, live in, raise their families in. I don't think we want to lose that and devalue, like bring down the value of Framingham. It's the same way we want good schools, but we want to make sure that we are getting good schools without, we don't want to throw money and not get better schools. That's where the public is. They're behind Parks and Rec currently because they see the improvements. So we don't want to lose that momentum.
Thank you. Any further discussion of this motion? Okay. The motion is to keep Park and Recs, recommend, like, what is it, recommend? Separate. Recommend to keep it separate. So all those in favor, Mr. Ward?
No.
Mr. Cannon?
No.
Ms. Limbrano? No. Myself, no. Mr. Stephanie?
Yes.
Ms. Feeney?
Yes.
Ms. Malik?
No.
Ms. Long?
No.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Aviani?
I'm going to say no.
Mr. Alexander?
No.
So it's 8 in favor, 3 opposed. I'm sorry. 3 in favor, 8 opposed. I had
Well,
the right
always
score, I
10,
just heard
10.
it.
That's BC math.
Any further discussion about the budget tonight that people would like to raise?
I think we need to move on tonight, Mr. Chair.
Think so? You ready to go? Okay.
Ready to go.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess.
The Government Channel's core mission for over a quarter-century has been to make the Framingham City government accessible to everyone. We were there from the final decades of town government to the historic city transition, as well as covering the political actions of past, current, and future city leaders. The Government Channel guarantees ready access to many of Framingham's public meetings, enabling a reliable connection to open discourse. Your Government Channel continues to document and preserve our local history, because understanding the city charter, community obligations, and our citizens' rights allows everyone to participate effectively in our democracy. The Government Channel, telling Framingham's story.
So with a quorum at the table, I'm just going to, I know that Attorney Garahan and company are having a wonderful time tonight here, but I'm just going to take a couple very, very quick things out of order just to, it'll take no more than 5 minutes. So I'm going to take item 7 and 8 out of order, just some licensing stuff. The licensing coordinator is on Zoom.
Motion to approve as...
So number 7 would be the request of licensing coordinator application to consider as secondhand articles, junk old metals for national rarities at 92.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Ms. Bryant's not currently here.
Okay.
There, I am here.
You could have saved us like a minute if you had said nothing. So, all those in favor? Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Ms. Limbrano?
Yes.
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 Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Aviani?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, number 8, request of the license coordinator approval of Guy Tremblay, Kona Ice Hawker and Peddler's license.
Second.
Any discussion or questions from the licensing coordinator? All those in-
Yes.
Go ahead.
Licensing coordinator, I just want to make sure that Guy Tremblay is not getting any preferential treatment of selling ice cream to the schools because he may be related. I'm just joking. I know they're not related. Guy Tremblay with Dr. Tremblay, the superintendent of schools.
Okay, well, thank you. Mr. Royce, I think you're all set with that. Okay, so all those in favor, Ms. Lean Bruno?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
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 Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Aviani?
Yes.
Yes.
Scan.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then numbers 12 through 16, just in case we run out of time, I'm going to refer all those to those committees, just so everybody is aware. If anybody's any objection to any of those things, 12 is the donations of Blazers Band, 13 is for the firefighters contract, 14 is the deputy chief's contract, 15 is the issue of the municipal aggregation at a revolving fund, and 16 goes to the Rules Committee regarding a sign ordinance amendment. Any objections to those referrals? Those are all referred. Okay. Next on the agenda, back to where we're still in public hearings, is upon request of the Public Planning and Zoning Subcommittee, a recommendation and vote for the city council to advertise a public hearing to consider amendments to the Framingham zoning ordinance in section 435, attachment 1, table of uses, to add new footnote 8A in table 1, and attachment 2, adding floor area ratio of 0.50 to the column for 1 and 2 families in the G zone. Further, the city council submit the zoning amendments to the planning board with 14 days to hold a separate public hearing for recommendation on same as required by MGL chapter 40A section 5. Ms. Long.
Thank you. So I can't remember if we already talked about this or not, because it's been so long. But we just made, yeah, I know we did already, so.
Motion
All
to
we're doing
approve.
is making a few changes to the table of uses FAR so that it prevents large houses from being permitted in the G zone, per Counselor Stefanini's request.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would move that we accept this with changing the .5 to .25 per dwelling unit, so that in the case of a duplex, it could increase. This does not include the garage, the basement, the other areas, and it does not include an ADU space, as we all know. The .5 was put in there as a space holder as we went through and studied this, and we've done analysis. So I would move that we accept it with that change.
Second.
So that's a friendly amendment then?
Yep.
Okay. Ms. Malik?
I have concerns about moving this forward without going through, I mean, I'm looking at the letter from the planning board, and they're planning a public hearing. They're planning, I understand they have some mock-ups based on their last meeting of what FAR looks like at the different levels. So they plan on, having a robust conversation and a robust process about this. And so I guess I just don't understand. I would not support us voting and making a decision on this without the planning board going through their process.
Can I make a comment here? So the planning board makes a recommendation to the council. That's all it is, a recommendation. And if you read the recommendation, it says they'll defer or yield to us. Secondly, if they want to make additional changes, they can have a public hearing and re-advertise it after we vote this as amended, as recommended by the building commissioner and COO, actually, who's the former building commissioner. This fixes the problem that at hand rather than delaying it. So that would be a further amendment. And the planning board, again, that's a recommendation. We don't have to accept it. we can reject it, and personally, I reject it because first of all, it came in pretty late. This has been on the agenda for a while. And secondly, again, this is just a recommendation, and I don't agree with the recommendation, so I wouldn't support that.
Mr. Chairman, and this is the first vote. So this is our
Yeah, it's the
first
first
vote on
vote,
this.
but
So the planning board is meeting on Thursday on this. I've seen the materials that they've put together. They're consistent with the conversation. And like everything else, we'll push this along from the first vote to the second vote. And if we get new information from them before the second vote, we can adjust, change, or reject.
But this wasn't advertised the way they.
Right, so let's clarify this, Christine, please. This isn't the first vote, this is just a vote to advertise, right, and to hold the
No,
vote?
this is the first vote. This has been
Okay,
advertised a
fine,
while
that's
ago.
fine. I just want to, I know, it does, that's why it doesn't seem to
They
read
just
that way.
repeated the language.
Okay.
Right, so their recommendation.
Okay, Ms. Long, please. So I want to have a little order here, so I get it. Mr. Adviani?
Yeah, I'm all for the idea of this, but I really would like to know how many of us up here actually know what duplex would be allowed to be built in a general residence zone, duplex, two-family house, on a 9,000 square foot lot. Does everybody know what size that is? I don't know if you do or don't, to be honest with you. But you go up to Clark's Hill, we're gonna be talking about that later, where I used to live when I was building my new house, a 2,250 or 2,300 square foot duplex, and that's living space. That's not the garage or the basement. 2 levels with a walk-up 3rd floor, which in the G zone was still only 35 feet. You're allowed 40 up there. Those were only 35-foot high duplexes. A duplex that I'm involved with on DeSoto Avenue is 2,200 square feet aside. That's 4,400 square feet of livable space. Beautiful, okay? If it was up at Doug Steffens, they'd be $1.5 million a piece, okay? You can't, if the lot's only 9,000 square feet, so that means each duplex now can be 2,450 square feet. But if you have an 8,000 square foot lot in the old Tripoli neighborhood where they're G-zoned, and some people have 5,000 square foot lots, you're going to be, housing is not affordable. This is a great idea because of a disaster over on Miller Avenue. But we need to be realistic on what someone's allowed to build for a two-family with a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. We talk about housing, and we need housing. You know, people like different size houses, okay? I know some people like big houses, some people like small houses, but, you know, 2,250 square feet isn't huge, okay? It fits into the neighborhood. You go up to Clark's Hill, you got 28 beautiful duplexes in the first phase, you got 8 in the second phase, and you have 1 single-family home. But what developers do, that second phase should have been 13 units. That's what was approved at the zoning board, which I recused myself. We'll put that out there, too. I didn't sit on the case because I knew the people that owned the property, and I was their realtor. However, they built 9 houses. You want to know why they built 9 units instead of the 13? Because they didn't want to build an affordable. We need to make it so people want to build some affordable housing, because nothing's affordable in Framingham. When Smart pays $3,900 for a 3-bedroom unit, and they say that's affordable, I don't know how that's affordable.
Would you accept .3?
.3 works.
Would you accept .3? Sure. So I would withdraw .25 and say .3 per dwelling unit. It accomplishes the same purpose.
I am with you. But just that's the number you need.
I thought .25 did that.
Friendly amendment? Is that a friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. That's good, thank you.
Votes, good. Any further discussion on this matter? Seeing none.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't see
Just,
you.
again, the height that gets brought up here is currently, it's at 40 feet, and they propose reducing it to 35, so I think that's worthy of discussion before
So-
we move this forward.
So in the general district, there's commercial properties, and 40 is the standard for commercial properties. So it's been the standard for years and years and years and years that every general property has a height of 40 feet on a commercial property in G-zone, and the residential at 35, just like every other property throughout Framingham. So if you change that, now you're going to change everything everywhere. And that doesn't make sense, because you have commercial properties in that zone. And unless you rezone everything out of there and just make it all residential, then you can lower that to 35. But to try to change that to 35 feet where there's commercial entities throughout that whole G-zone, it just doesn't work. So again, if they want to talk about that on a separate public hearing and amend it and try to bring that forward, you'll have everybody that owns property in those districts with commercial coming in opposed to that. So I don't think that's even plausible, and I would not recommend that for those reasons.
I'll just say that as somebody who lives in the G zone, I would appreciate it being a lower ceiling. And I think that if this whole proposal is in response to a specific building that happened in Framingham, then I think, you know, one of the things I appreciated about the planning board's conversation was that it was very much reflective of where this is coming from, and would this amendment as it is, you know, currently stand, would that have prevented that development to have happened in the way that it did? And, you know, looking at the height of the building is a piece. I mean, the flat roof, I do have to agree that I think the flat roof of that building in particular makes it particularly egregiously out of place, if that's a fair, like, in my personal opinion. So I think, or out of character, maybe that's the way I'm supposed to say it, but I think there's more to it than this.
Are you making an amendment?
No, sure, I'll make no, I'm not making an amendment.
Mr. Ward?
Through you, Chair, is it restricted to 2 units, or could it be through?
Single family.
Per unit.
In the G
I
zone.
know, but if we're saying per unit.
Who are you directing the question through?
I don't know. Whoever
Let's
wants to
start with
answer.
Ms. Long, then she's chairman of the subcommittee.
So it's not restricted to just 2, it's not restricted to duplexes. So if someone wanted to build 3 units, and we're saying it's restricted to 0.3 per unit, that's not, I'm not reading.
The floor area ratio, you'd be restricted to that floor area ratio on an 8,000 square foot lot, which is the G zone.
Is my question not making sense? No.
Does-
And one other thing, can I just bring up
I'm
the,
just- so
Wait a second, wait, Mr. Ward has a question.
No, that was the question.
All right, you're done with that. Mr. Aviani, then Ms. Long.
The 0.3 is per unit. You know, the zoning board doesn't give out permits for a 3-family house. They're doing more of it now, and they've done 6 families and 5 families up and down Waverly Street. But they don't, in a general residence zone as it stands today, and Councilor Long, correct me if I'm wrong, you can build a single-family home, or you can build a duplex with a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals, which you go in front of the zoning board. The 0.3 restriction would have prevented that thing on Miller Ave, because 0.3, even though on a single-family per dwelling, it would have only been able to, I don't think it's an 8,000 square foot lot, right? They'd only been able to build 2,700 square feet. But if you have an 8,000 square foot lot in an R1 zone, you can build a 4,000 square foot house as long as it conforms on the setback. So some people won't be happy with it, but my concern was the duplex part of it, because you want to try to get some type of housing, you can put a duplex in there and get some density going up high and stay under 35 feet. You can actually do it under 35. You can do 35, which looks nice, have pitched roofs, and flat roofs, I'm not a big flat roof guy, so it's in that neighborhood, it's totally unattractive and doesn't fit.
All right, Mr. Ward?
Not the police of the architect.
I'm not necessarily opposed to this, but then are we not incentivizing just more duplexes in the G zone?
What's wrong?
This is agnostic on that point.
But couldn't they not build more?
They can build the same number now, it's just a control of what they can build.
Size of it. They still have to go to the zoning board to get a special permit.
This stops a 7,000 square foot unit from being built as a single-family unit.
There's no right to build a duplex in the G zone. It has to go to the zoning board.
Go get a special permit.
But if it goes, it limits the size of the building, if we adopt this.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I guess I'm not following as well.
Believe me, I am far from an expert. But Ms. Bryant, and then we'll vote.
Thank you. So the 35, whatever height, right, versus the 40, why would they limit it to 35? Is that what it is, 35, or what they said? If it wasn't going to be more attractive. When you say, Council Long, that the people that have commercial property there, they still would get to have 40, right? The height at 40, because isn't this supposed to be for residential, the height of the residential builds going forward? So why not make it 35 with the type of roof Phil said? But I don't know. I guess I want to hear the case for why 40 would be better versus 35, as the planning board recommended.
Ms. Long, briefly, if you could.
So the residential, if it's a residential building, it's limited to 35 feet unless the ZBA gives them a dimensional regulation for the height. If it's a commercial building, then it's 40 feet. That's
Okay.
the standard.
All right, thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
I'm going to take a vote. All those in favor of this? I'll start with myself. Yes?
Yes.
Ms. Sweeney?
Yes.
With the amendment, right?
No.
There's no amendment. Ms. Long?
Yes,
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Ottaviani?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
No.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Zane Bruno?
Yes.
9 in favor, 2 opposed. It does pass. Okay. Next public hearing is regarding Eagle Rock. I ask for a motion to continue testimony until July 21st.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Mr. Stefanini?
Yes.
Ms. Feeney?
Yes.
Ms. Malik?
Yes.
yes.
Ms. Bryant? Mr.
Yes.
Ottaviani?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Okay, next is the continued discussion and zoning amendments of Clark's Hill. And it was continued to tonight for the public hearing.
Motion to approve.
Second? Oh,
I made a motion to approve.
and I seconded it.
Is there a motion on the table from the last time?
Yeah, I put a motion on the table the last time,
I
but
thought
okay.
There's a
Oh,
motion
forgive
to
me.
approve on the table.
But isn't this different now that they've updated the,
He's very eager
No.
to have it happen.
No, it's not.
Nothing's
So I'll take, so there's currently a motion that was continued to this meeting. It wasn't even tabled, it was simply continued as part of the public hearing. So the motion is on the table to approve.
but just question, Chair. What we were given to approve, is this the exact same thing? Because the Counselor Ward and Counselor, whatever, Leora, what's your last name? Malik, they said that it did not have all of the accommodations in it that was agreed upon, and this one does. So isn't it like a
I'm
different
talking
document?
about the text of the memorandum of understanding, but it doesn't change the vote. Doesn't change the
Okay.
motion. Okay, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the council. So Kathy Garahan with Bios Theodorakos, Mount Olympus. Thank you very much for meeting with us again on the...
Thank you for joining our meeting for 3 hours, I appreciate it.
not having a heart attack.
Thank you. Since the last meeting with you, the memorandum of understanding was further fine-tuned to address the items Councilor Ward raised at the last meeting, which had meant to be included. So these included removing 155 Bishop Street, which is the lot on Bishop that is really more suitable for a single or two-family home rather than being part of the PUD. So removing that from the land to be rezoned and agreeing not to build at the corner of Bishop Street and Clark's Hill. I did want to note in your materials, we gave an updated zoning change sheet that took that 155 Bishop Street off of the map for the requested area to be rezoned. There was an error made in that when we took 155 Bishop off, we inadvertently removed Clark's Hill Lane. Clark's Hill Lane should also be rezoned PUD just because of the access to the mixed use. We discussed, but that map, the prior maps had shown Clark's Hill Lane as being rezoned, as did the advertising. We also discussed with the city solicitor the question about whether the mayor should be the party signing the MOU. And I believe you all have the memo the city solicitor distributed earlier today, in which she does conclude that the mayor should be signing the document. However, the city council should be recommending that the mayor sign it. So the city council would be voting to recommend the MOU, and the mayor would be signing it. I was a little, I'm not sure if the counselor is here. I was unclear as to whether both the city councilors and the mayor should sign, so maybe the city solicitor can clarify that. On the matter raised regarding the adjacent road, the solicitor also addresses that in the memorandum. And I don't know if there are any other questions about that, but it is addressed in the memorandum. Beyond that, we're very happy to answer any additional questions you may have on the zoning changes or on the MOU. It's been a long process for this landowner, and we believe there are significant benefits to the city to turn around this property, increase the return to the tax rolls, and add needed housing to Framingham while reusing an attractive structure. We hope that you will vote in the affirmative to approve the requested zoning changes. So with that, if you have any questions.
Ms. Long?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's not a question, but I think a clarification. Councilor King and I spoke about this earlier on the MOU, and I believe after reading the solicitor's memo that the only one that would sign this would be the mayor, if I'm not mistaken. Correct, George?
That's correct.
All right, so do I need to make another motion to recommend that the council vote for the MOU as revised and per the recommendation of the city solicitor?
Well, the original motion had the MOU in it, it's just,
Right,
But it's different.
I'm just amending it as per the recommendation and,
so you're amending your own motion, so you can amend your own motion.
well, thank you.
Second.
Right, whoever seconded it,
And you amended.
no, whoever seconded the original motion.
Does it? I
Who seconded the original?
could say for just redo it, just make the
No reason
motion.
to redo it.
There's no reason to redo it. It's,
I can't remember.
All right, so,
You just said.
all right, Ms. Bryan, please.
Oh, okay, whatever.
Ms. Bryan, you're out of order. What's going on? You just cannot sit there and just talk on the Zoom all night long while we're all here trying to do some work, okay? So,
You were talking and but the
I'm the
point
chairman, Ms.
that
Bryan, so that's why I'm talking. Right now, you are not talking. All right.
I was talking.
No,
and
well,
you-
you're not recognized to talk.
You said that already, I know.
Good. All right, so are there any questions? Okay, so I'll take a motion, I'll take a vote on Ms. Malik.
Thank you. So I appreciate the calls that I've gotten, both from Attorney Garahan and also from residents about this. I will share their frustration on not having seen this updated MOU until yesterday, which to me feels problematic, and I respect that it was like a technical glitch in a weekend that was the reason for that, but I just feel like it needs to be acknowledged that there's a pretty short turnaround and that on this. The other thing that's been brought up to me is the request here puts it at 20 units per acre, and other, like the development that's coming up in Knobscot for discussion is less than that. So I do think it's reasonable to consider maybe some consistency and respecting that this will all be adjudicated within the planning, well, the zoning board of appeals, I guess, would be where it would be discussed. But I guess just to say that particularly looking at the Knobscot development and this development side by side, it would be nice if there was consistency in the unit per acre, especially since the decision was made not to break down the different properties within Clarks Hill on the different, to be different units per acre, that if it's all being treated as one, then we should, have some consistency in that. And then I also want to say about the road, where I understand that we are making a zoning change here, and that is not relevant to who owns the road, right? That is not pertinent to it. But I am disappointed that this process did not bring about any resolution on maintenance of the road. And I think this falls with the planning department or with the mayor's office or with the city for not moving that forward, because that is the point of contention. That is the biggest point of contention that the neighbors have, is the road and the maintenance of the road. And to just say that, well, that'll come up later, to me feels like a tremendous missed opportunity on the city's part to provide residents with the support and the services that they deserve as residents. So I do understand why it is not included in this, and I am just deeply disappointed that this process did not address that at all.
Any further comments, Dr. Vianney?
Yeah. I'm okay with the 20 per acre. NOPSCOT's a totally different animal. We're going to discuss that Thursday if I can get there after Finance Subcommittee. But around the corner from this property, you got stuff that's 93 units per acre. I think it's 93. It's a crazy number. And it's dense. It's ugly. It looks like a block. The one on Waverly Street's the worst of them all, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to the new one there that the guy there, the pita bread guy there, Joseph, so whatever Bogos is doing. Because it's got a little more character, and I think the planning board's done a better job with the design, just because, in all fairness, the best-looking apartment complex in Framingham is the one he built across the street, if you want to talk about character and some colors, just my opinion. But the one on Howard Street doesn't look that great, Alta Union House, and the other one doesn't. So I just think 20 per acre spread out. I lived at Clarks Hill for almost 3 years. It's absolutely beautiful there. Councilor Malik's 100% correct. Those residents are upset about the road. But, I got a little faith in the process, because what he's going to build and what he's going to try to attract, young professionals, taking the train into work and everything else, for him to develop that and do what he needs to do, I'm pretty confident. He's done a lot for the neighbors already, by maintaining it. To put a fresh coat of hot top, I probably figure he's going to do it. They couldn't hold him to certain standards and specs. But if we look at what he's done, when he ran the Rose Garden apartments, they were beautiful. He sold it, kind of doesn't look as good as when he had it. The building across the street is pretty good looking, I think. But taste is in the eye of the beholder. But, never gotten a TIF. I remember when he was flipping pizzas on Hartford Street. I remember the downtown place. It just, if we can't help somebody that's invested in Framingham and put a lot of commitment into our community, who do we help, okay? And, this works. That neighborhood is a hell of a lot more right for housing than the office building that's 90% vacant, all right? You got the Social Security, it's vacant, it's hot top, that's how it's ugly. My house, when I sat on the deck, you looked right out into the parking lot, and that was the view. And you're up top, and you got beautiful views from the third floor. It's one of the most beautiful spots around. But you got to get past all the other stuff. And I think this is an opportunity to create much-needed housing. Wasn't controversial really at all. A couple of the neighbors, I met with a couple of folks up there. They're concerned, and Councilor Malik's done a hell of a job, you know what I mean? Because they've reached out to her. But we haven't seen the frustration up there that we've seen with other parts of Framingham that are looking to be developed, okay? And it's housing around it, you know what I mean? And then you look, you got ABC Supply, you got warehouse space. There could have been a better use there. The ABC Supply, the back of it, shingles, pallets of crap. So I think 20 per acre, the cost of housing is expensive, to build this stuff's expensive, and there's a density number that works. It's not a two-family. There's a number that works to take on a project like this, and I think the 20 is a fair and reasonable number. So that's where I stand.
Mr. Ward.
Thank you for the changes to the MOU. Really appreciate the addition of language around getting the certificate of occupancy for the current building before building anything else or moving on to anything else, as well as removing the Bishop Street property. I do share Councilor Malik's frustration on the road. I don't know if you can speak to that at all, about the conversations you had and where those ended, just to try to alleviate concern, or just where we stand on that.
It's well laid out, I thought, in the solicitor's memo, that it's a subject that belongs with a special permit granting authority, because it would essentially be mitigation to require someone to do off-site work or pay for off-site work, and it needs to be proportionate to the impacts. And until there's an actual project, the city really can't calculate what its impacts are. So to come up with a number now would be arbitrary, which is really not legal. So it's just the wrong time. Also, there is a lot of confusion about who actually owns the road. So to have a requirement that somebody improve somebody else's road, is problematic. I did some background checking, in the registry. I know what I believe what the ownership is, which is one of the condominium associations. I originally thought maybe the city might have owned part of it, but I don't think that's the case. But there's confusion, and I don't believe that my client owns the road from the deeds that I've looked at. But as Councilor Malik said, there's still more work that needs to be done to figure that out, who owns it. And then, but it's really a later discussion once a project is known and once the costs are known, once the impacts to the city are known, then that's the appropriate time for a discussion on mitigation.
I do have something to add. I did speak to Saki Sarkeesian a few hours ago, and he filed the last-minute application for a grant. Now, he's very confident that grant is going to be awarded, given the fact that this is an adaptive reuse of an existing office building that's become obsolete, which falls under the state's requirement, right? So there's been lots of grants that have been given to Boston office buildings as of recent, as in like the last 12 months. So a lot of projects have moved forward. The good news is $500,000 of that, Leora, is earmarked for the road. Now, we've already gotten the DOT and a paving company, 3 different paving companies, to come out and give an estimate. They've come in on the lower end, if the municipality is not involved, 290 to 300 to bring it up to today's standards, to acceptable standards for municipality to accept the road, and then 400 if the municipality's doing it. So that there's a price difference, I guess, if the town's running it versus a private developer doing it. So that $500,000 is $100,000 over. So there's the fact that if we get this project approved, we're entitled to that grant. So and there's $1 million in it for me, given the fact that the office building conversion makes no economic sense. It'd be about $400,000 a unit, double what it would cost to build the ground-up ones. So that's another one of the reasons why it's different than the Knobscot one, where it may be that all 220 units may be ground up there, which are a lot cheaper than doing the adaptive reuse. So there is some positive things that I think will come out of it. And I said to Sarkey before, I said, well, how sure are you? And he said, I'm very confident we're going to get it in. So they're putting it in tomorrow, and 500 goes to the road and $1 million goes to the building to kind of help subsidize that, so that phase of it, Council Ward, that you requested, make sure that building got done first. So that we could get the lender to kind of agree there'd be some input of some capital from the state level for a grant. So,
Okay.
and listening to the other members and the budgets, and I always say, what Robert Kiyosaki said in his book, don't make more money if you want more things, right? Don't cut budgets, right? So be more efficient in regarding projects, right? Build more apartment buildings, help more commercial businesses come here, be more active in allowing businesses and be more attractive for businesses to want to stay here and want to do business, right? There's a reason why everyone's moving to Florida. There's a reason why everyone's moving to South Carolina, Texas. They're business friendly, right? So when business think about a friendly place to do business and want to open their headquarters, they want a city government that's efficient, effective, and receptive to people. Like, somebody wants to spend $80 million, they shouldn't take 4 years to build an
I
apartment.
think we're off the question a little bit here.
Right? So,
All right.
well, I'm just saying that if, instead of
I get
cutting
it,
budgets,
but-
try to open up more avenues to create more income, to entice people to do business in your community, in your city, right?
Any other questions or comments from the board? Ms. Bryant?
Say that nicely. I would just say that, Viles, before you started adding all that, I was 100% in favor of it. I will probably vote for it anyway, but maybe a little more grudgingly. Whenever businesses start talking about, oh, we need to be business friendly, we are friendly, but we also have to be smart, okay? So I'm not trying to model Florida. But in terms of this, I would also say, I'm so glad about the grant, but in keeping with what Council Ottaviani said, I was already confident that, if you're gonna build over there, that you wouldn't want the road to detract from that. Not that I don't think it would be, if it's not your property, your sole responsibility. But if it would enhance your property, I was sure that you would find a way to help help make the road better too. And I'm glad that Mr. Sarkeesian helps with that. And with that, could I call the question or no, because I talked?
You cannot call the question, but I can, because no one else had their hand up, so I will take a vote. All those in favor, you can't because you did talk, that's just, but it is, all those in favor of the motion, which is to approve the zoning and authorize the mayor to sign the MOU. Starting with Ms. Feeney.
Yes.
Ms. Malik.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
Mr. Ottaviani.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
Ms. Lean Bruno.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Tiffany.
Yes. Good luck.
Unanimous. Excellent.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What's that? I can't. Oh, I know, but
That's all right.
further down the road than we've been in a long time in the city council and zoning issues, so.
Thank you for your
That's
time.
the first big success.
Next is the report of the mayor.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going to vote to suspend the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you.
At least somebody's on top of things in this room. Mr. Mayor, tell him.
Sorry.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a
Motion to
motion to extend the meeting, take up new business after
Second.
10 o'clock.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor, Ms. Malik?
Yes. Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Bryant?
It's 10:02.
Sadviani?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
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 To what? What did they,
Okay, Mr. Mayor, do you want to make your report or do you want to pass it?
we'll pass.
Okay, next is upon request of the Finance Committee, a recommendation and vote upon the FY 2027 to FY 2031 recommended capital improvement program.
Okay, upon the request of the Finance Subcommittee, the City of Framingham, through the Framingham City Council, it is so ordered that the City Council votes to appropriate $36,767,605 to pay cost of the following general fund capital projects as noted. You said I didn't have to read them all, correct?
You don't have to read them all, no, just as listed.
As listed, okay.
Second.
Read the funding.
Oh, okay, now I'm going to the next page. And for the payment of costs incidental and related thereto to be spent under the direction of the mayor or his designee, with the exception of the school department's projects, which will be spent under the direction of the school superintendent or his designee, that the mayor is authorized to acquire by gift, purchase, or eminent domain, permanent easements and temporary construction easements or other interests in land for said projects, that the mayor is authorized to take all actions necessary or convenient to carry out the purposes of this order, and further to meet the appropriation, the treasurer is authorized the approval of the mayor to borrow $36,767,605 to issue from time to time bonds or notes in such amount pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 44, or any other enabling authority. Any premium received by the city upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any such premium applied to the payment of costs of issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized borrowed to pay such costs by the likes of. And it further be ordered that $33,750,000 is appropriated to pay the cost of the following utility enterprise fund capital projects as listed. And for the payment of costs incidental and related thereto, as listed, $33,750,000, and the payment of costs incidental and relative thereto to be spent under the direction of the mayor or his designee, and the mayor is authorized to acquire by gift, purchase, or eminent domain, permanent easements and temporary construction easements, or other interest in land of said projects that the mayor is authorized to take all actions necessary or convenient to carry out the purposes of this order and to further meet the appropriation of the treasurer, is authorized, with the approval of the mayor, to borrow $33,750,000 and to issue from time to time bonds or notes in such amounts pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 44, or any other enabling authority. Any premium received by the city upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any such premium applied to the payment of the cost of issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payment of cost approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such cost by a like amount. And further, that the mayor or his designee authorized to apply for and accept loans, grants, or other financial assistance from the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority, MWRA, for any eligible projects authorized under this capital budget, and to take any other action necessary to secure such funding in accordance with the MWRA program requirements.
Second.
Okay, so, would you like to make a report?
The Finance Subcommittee voted unanimously 5-0 to support this.
Does anybody want to discuss any specific projects? Does anybody want to discuss any aspect of it? All those seeing nothing, all those in favor, starting with Ms. Long,
Yes.
Ms. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Vianney,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
Ms. Lambrino,
Yes.
myself, yes.
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 Okay, that's unanimous. Okay. Next, an update from the Finance Subcommittee regarding the request by SEB Housing, consideration of affordable rents and affordable income units for Bancroft Lofts and Union House.
We discussed this at the Finance Subcommittee, and we've gotten a couple different reviews or actions. We pulled up a memo from September of 2025 from the folks that own the Buckley, Mr. McDowell. We got the request from Alta Union House as well as Bancroft Lots for an increase. And there's some confusion. If we're supposed to vote and say that they're in compliance and they can set the rents, or we're allowed to set the rents. The rents are set by the state, and they're given vouchers or different assistance. So I don't think we're supposed to be setting the rents. I think we're just supposed to be saying if they're in compliance or not. And we had this discussion at the Finance Subcommittee. I think the majority of us concurred, but we didn't take an official vote because we said we're going to bring it to the full council, because Council Stefanini brought it to our attention that if we didn't act in 30 days, it automatically is approved. So we can have some discussion on that, but I know, costs have gone up. I know we need to be an affordable community, but we've been told by, and I put more faith in, because the gentleman that owns the Buckley has come in here and talked to us, face to face. The other people that own it, they've been sold so many times, I don't know who really owns those apartment complexes anymore. But, costs have gone up, water sewer's gone up, utilities have gone up, maintenance, and it's picked up by the federal government. And some of these tenants are paying no money, some are paying $10, some pay maybe $100, but they're living in apartments that go from $2,500 to $4,000 on the open market, at the Buckley anyway. So that's where we're at, and there's probably some discussion, Councilor King, or whatever you think is best, sir.
Well, there's no action to be taken, so I guess that's an update. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Feel free.
Yes.
So, Ms. Malik, did you have a?
So I was watching a meeting from 2022 just for fun. Not really, but I was
gonna think
actually
you're
watching a
crazy
meeting
like
from
me.
2022. Anyway, the point is, we happened to vote on the Buckley rates in full council, not in the Finance Subcommittee at that meeting. And I just thought it was interesting because we're still figuring out what we were doing, and they were voting it on the council, not in finance.
Went to the Finance Subcommittee first, though.
No, it did not. Not in the May 4th, 2022 meeting.
We were on economic development then.
But it came to the council and it was voted on the council. It didn't go to a subcommittee.
I find that odd. I can look back at it, but
May 4th, I can forward you the link to that meeting if you want.
I can find the link, but how do you know?
I couldn't find links on the government channel that far back, but anyway.
Oh, okay.
So all just to say that it feels like we've been inconsistent over the years, and it would be nice if we were consistent. If there's a referral, if not, is it full council? Is it finance? What are we voting on? You know, I don't know if it was shared with everybody or just the finance subcommittee, but what we've voted, the increases that we have voted or not allowed in previous years, I guess, to hear now that like we're not even voting. So my question is, were they raising the rents even though we voted not to raise the rents?
I don't know the answer to that.
Chairman.
I would think not. Ms. Long is next, then Mr. Stefanini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I believe the meeting she's talking about is Council Cannon, yourself, and I were on the Economic Development Subcommittee, and I believe that came in front of us and it went to the council. Because working for affordable housing for the last 10 and a half years, I know about vouchers. So every 6 months, the state and the feds send us an AMI, what we're allowed to collect from the tenants, and what their rent is allowed to go up to. But proportionately, as Councilor Ottaviani stated, that most of these tenants, you know, a lot of tenants don't pay any rent. They pay very little rent. They only pay a proportion of that. So the landlord is allowed to have an increase in that rent to cover all their costs. And I think the argument was that, well, we don't want the tenants to have a bigger increase, but proportionally, if the tenants get any increase, it might be a couple of dollars and $5, and the landlord's given that adjustment to cover their utilities and whatever other costs they have. But I believe that that did go to our subcommittee and it came here. And I do remember that we disallowed it, which I didn't think was right, but.
Okay.
But at any rate, like I said, the state, that AMI, that list of what we're allowed to increase as a landlord for an affordable unit is provided by the federal government, so.
Okay, Mr. Stefanini.
I would just add to that, what did go to the subcommittee that year, it went to a different subcommittee, it went to economic development. But I would just add one thing to the conversation. I think the chair of the finance committee did a good job explaining the legal issue. The one thing that's worth noting is if we do not approve these units and they're not in compliance, they do not count towards our 40B affordable housing. They get taken off the list. So in order for us to include that in that, and we've heard from our planning director that we're a little tighter than we'd like to be on that point.
Ms. Bryant?
So are you saying, but I just want to clarify that these buildings are not fully subsidized, only a small portion, right? So we just speaking about an increase in those units. Usually the owners are requesting, they want to increase the rent for those who pay full rent, who are not subsidized, and the subsidized ones, the government will pay the difference, you know, the higher difference, though the renters who get subsidized, they have to pay a little more too, but the government will be paying their lion's share. But all the other renters, which is the bulkhead, you know, the lion's share of tenants, they will be paying the increases as they pay their complete rent themselves. So are they just asking about the 20% or 10% subsidized, or they usually they mean the whole, like all the rents for the
So
building?
we don't do the rents for the non-subsidized units. We have nothing to do with that. Okay, so we have a request too from the Buckley, so I'm gonna, this time, so I will refer that informally or on my own rules to the Finance Subcommittee. Just so everybody knows, and it was, as pointed out by, I think Ms. Long by her memory, and I assume Mr. Stefanini by research, that it was at the subcommittee when you saw that meeting. It just wasn't the subcommittee that you might have thought. Go ahead.
I'll send you the link. You can watch the meeting. I guess I'm just curious, last year, we did not approve any increase in rents.
That is correct.
That's correct.
So but it sounds like what I'm hearing is that they can raise the rents anyway per the state regardless.
Well, again, I think we've asked for some, I think at this point, we should get some legal help from the city solicitor, because we've been speculating.
Just for the subsidized units, we did not approve an increase, so.
We did not, we rejected their request.
Correct.
For the last 2
We
years.
all agree that. No, 2 years ago in 2024, we did a 3% increase.
Okay, so what,
But, like, if they're increasing it anyway,
well, how do we know they're increasing it anyways?
well, it sounds like that's what I'm hearing, is that, like, that they increase it to the state AMI, and that's
Who said that?
it.
Councilor
Is that
Kane.
not what you were just saying, Councilor Long? So they're allowed to do it regardless of what we vote?
But they haven't done it, that's the
I don't
point.
think they
That's why
have
we
done
got
it
the letter
right,
from
because
Mr.
they've asked for
McDowell.
permission, they were told no. I don't think they've done it.
But they fought us on it, that memo.
But we need, all right, we need to get this resolved, so,
Councilor King, can I speak?
yes.
Okay, so we got a letter in September of 2025 from Mr. McDowell, from his attorneys.
Yes,
We-
and
I
you
got- I
passed that
asked-
out,
We
yeah.
we resurrected it so people could see that. So hopefully, they're saying that they're allowed by right. We need a clarification from the city solicitor that if we're just a body that says you're in compliance or not. But they have not. I know, at least speaking to Mr. McDowell, they have not raised the rents because they complied with what we did. However, they say they were entitled to raise the rents, and they could go back, and we could be, we're in a bad position, is what that letter told us, and that I've been told.
Well, let's get the opinion from the city, because Mr. McDowell's letter says it's not even our role, but anyways, Mr. Ward.
The mayor.
Yeah, I don't think we should admit any financial liability on that there. I think we made the right decision.
I agree, but that's what the letter says.
First, just a point of clarification, even if, some people have their rent subsidized, that's not the case for everyone. If you look at the affordable units for the Buckley this year, 50% of them are paying the affordable rent without getting subsidized from any entity, whether that be SMOC, the state, or any other entity. It's shocking to me that no other community is in this exact same situation. Like, how is not every other community in the state also having to do this?
But other communities probably don't do it the way we've been doing it. That's what, we have to figure out whether we've been doing it
Yeah,
right.
so we just figure out what everyone else is doing?
No, that's what we're going to do. I mean, that's what we have to do. I mean, there's nothing else. We've done, I mean, I give us credit for doing what we've done, actually, and if we get away with it, then we've helped some people.
Right, I mean, it counts towards your SHI, your subsidized housing inventory. So, and it's only, the Buckley was 10% at that time, now everything's 13% of affordable units in all these apartment buildings.
Okay.
So it applies to those.
So can we send that to the city solicitor and then move on from this? Thank you.
Point.
Next on the agenda is,
Chair, I just wanted to add one sentence point. The AMI, which Councilor Long refers to, it also sets limits of like the most that they can increase, like what the new limits are. It raises the amount, but it also sets a ceiling in a sense.
okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is number 11, request of the Council Stephanie Infini, a proposed resolution to create a Blue Ribbon Public Pool Commission.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So 4 years ago, Keefe closed, the Keefe Tech Pool closed, and the mayor has been working over that period of time to try to find a location and to do something, and there've been some starts and stops, and we haven't quite been able to focus the energy and attention on getting this done. We've gone from having numerous public pools, including at our middle schools, and they've all closed. I think we all recognize this is a need. I thought about putting this on the agenda in part because we were doing the capital projects tonight. And every year when we do the capital projects, I think to myself, wouldn't it be nice if we could do a pool? And every year we talk about, we need a pool, we need a pool, we want a pool. Well, the leading cause of death, people under the age of 5, is drowning. There's a disproportionate piece, is a relationship between the ability to learn to swim and whatnot. You can learn to swim at the YMCA in Framingham, but it's hard. We don't do swimming lessons at our beaches anymore. I don't have any particular authorship of this. There's nothing unique, I think, about this. It's a 13-member commission that involves all the interested parties. Folks who want to change it or do it, I don't have any pride of authorship. I'm just trying to, Mr. Mayor, push us along so that we have some dialogue. I think I've been waiting patiently for 4 years to hope you'd be able to figure something out, but we haven't quite been able to do that. Maybe this helps us move this along so that we can get to a point of making this a reality and doing what everyone else has. I mean, we have swim teams and others that are going to neighboring communities. We have kids who aren't learning how to swim. I think we all agree it's an asset we need. I think this is a vehicle to help us advance that conversation.
Ms. Feeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also echo what Councilor Stefanini said, and I just want to give a bit of a recognition to 4 eighth graders at the Walsh Middle School. I went to their civics project symposium a couple of weeks ago, and they had a whole project about the community pool. So, and unfortunately, they couldn't be here tonight, but I don't think they'd still be here because of the hour, because of the Walsh Band concert. But they did send a letter, which I will have Marion send to all of you, but I just do want to read this one paragraph that gives a little bit more color on this. For some background, some of us have been on the Framingham Frog swim team for a number of years and have run into the problem that we have to drive 30 minutes each way to Sudbury just for an hour swim practice 3 times a week. We've realized how much more gas pollution it causes to have a drive farther away than it would have could we have used a pool in Framingham. In addition, the registration fee for joining the team has gotten much more expensive as we have had to rent pool time in other locations. This has caused the team to get a lot smaller because people don't want the added registration cost and inconvenient transportation. On a personal note, one of our group members is planning to swim next year for the high school, and all of the high school swim teams have to swim in Wayland because we do not have a public Framingham pool. We understand that money is a large issue when it comes to this topic, and we know that Framingham's budget is really tight. But we also understand that there are members of the City Council who are on board with this idea. We feel that a community pool would be very impactful for Framingham and would like all the City Council to be advocates for this project. Our group would be happy to meet with the City Council and the Mayor in person to discuss this further. Thank you for your time and including our ideas in your agenda for this evening. We look forward to hearing from you and discussing this further. And that's Selena Schneider, Danielle Santana, Genesis Valderas Paz, and Maya Holden. And they also wrote to Councillor Cannon earlier this May about it. And they were thrilled that he responded.
The word hero gets bandied about.
So they're really meeting them and going through their their project really inspired me that we should really move forward with this. And I just want to say that all of these civics projects that we've had the chance to see over the last couple of weeks have been extraordinary, and we are very lucky with a good group of kids.
Okay, the chair is gone, but he's back. So, back to you. Mike has his hand up.
Well, you can recognize them.
I'll recognize Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, great kids. You talk to the kids in our schools about their community, and you realize the community is going to be fine. There's some really smart minds in the fact that there's an interest in this from a strategic planning perspective, not just I'm a kid and I want to swim perspective. It was really heartening. I didn't get to see their project. And everyone is always surprised that we respond to their emails. I think we're all pretty responsive. Mr. Mayor, does this, I think we're all on board conceptually, with the cause. I think we had hoped that the administration would have been able, because I know it's important to you as well. Does doing this help you? If not for all of the organizational changes that you're making right now, I think there'd probably be a unanimous vote to do this, because it's...
I have absolutely no objection to doing this.
Okay, does it help the cause, or does it...
Anything like that would always help.
Okay. Move the question.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Want to talk still?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. That's why I asked.
Thank you. Are you asking, it says here, I don't know if who this is to, but that a member of our legislative delegation would be on the commission? And then I
Yes.
guess the question is, can we do that?
Yes.
I don't know, that sounds weird.
The idea is to include as many stakeholders as you can so that they all get to the table and hopefully creative minds find a solution.
Alexander?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So how many you propose? Was it 13?
13.
Is there a particular reason why it's a large? That's a pretty large amount but I know it's a big deal but.
There's a lot of interested parties, and there's a lot of folks to work through.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All those in favor? Ms. Bryan, are you still here?
I am.
Okay, you're the first in the line to vote.
I'm trying to get that video thing on.
That's fine.
Yes.
Can you vote?
She just said
I said yes,
I'm sorry, I
yes.
didn't hear you. Thank you.
Yes.
Alexander? Yes. Boyd?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Bruno?
Yes.
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 Okay, anything else? All right, so.
Second.
all those in
Mr.
favor?
Chairman, before you adjourn, can I just make a statement?
Withdrawn.
Despite the fact that I didn't give a mayor's report, I think we need to acknowledge the recent passing of two prominent Framingham residents. Jack Blaze passed away the other day. He was a very big philanthropist, and as a matter of fact, he donated over $1 million to help us purchase the Callahan Senior Center, and
Right.
we have a couple of rooms named after him, and just want to acknowledge his passing. And also John Kahn, who
We had a
served.
moment of silence for him in the beginning.
I'm sorry?
We did have a moment of silence for
Oh,
Mr.
I'm
Khan.
sorry, I was upstairs.
I know you were.
So,
And I think also that we did miss at the beginning of the meeting, so thank you for bringing up Mr. Blaze. I did not know that. Mr. Henry Brandolini also passed away, a longtime bus driver in town, member of the Park and Rec Commission, overall good guy. He was my bus driver when I was in elementary school, and he was 95 years old, 98 years old, I think.
Yeah, I went to the service at the Edgell Grove, he was.
Yeah, he was a really, really super guy. So I think, thank you for remembering Mr. Blaze and Mr. Brandolini
Very nice.
and Mr. Khan. So,
Move that we adjourn.
Second.
okay, all those in favor, Mr. Aviani?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander? Mr. Ward? Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Ms. Lean Bruno?
Yes.
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
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 Ms. Bryant, would you like to vote
All
last
right,
tonight?
thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Yes, I would like to vote last, and I vote yes.